Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are now watching Shank Club NFL live on Twitter, on Periscope, and on YouTube. And if any of you guys want to follow us, you can follow us on all those avenues on our social media. Boy, have we got a show lined up for you today. It is, as I've been saying, the mother of all talk shows, and we are getting you set for the NFL season. Today is Christmas Eve, tomorrow is Christmas Day, and I can't wait. As usual, I've got my sidekick, Pete, with me. Pete, we are doing a show and not going to a discotheque. Talk to me, brother. How are you?
No, I'm doing great, but as you can tell, this for me is a big deal, so I thought I would don the blazer, put a nice white shirt on, and someone has got to improve the quality of how we look, and it's not going to be you. So I thought I'd step up to the plate, bro.
I'm too old for all that kind of stuff, Pete. I'm too old for that. Trust me. Right, Pete, without further ado, shall we bring on our first guest?
Yes, indeed. Here we go. I will let you introduce him.
Right, first guest. I've been after trying to get this guy on for quite a while. Eric Crocker, otherwise known as Croc from the Croc Report, Striking Gold podcast, former Jets DB. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Good morning to you guys. Well, what time is it over there where you guys are?
We are just after 2:30 in the afternoon over here in England.
Yeah.
Okay, so good afternoon.
Yeah, we've had our lunch, we've had our breakfast. We're all good to go. Obviously, I'm guessing you're over in America, Croc, are you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is 8:30 a.m. over here. So.
Well, we very much appreciate you taking time out of your morning to join us on the show. I know that Nick is a huge fan of yours, and I know he's been buzzing to get you on the show. So thank you very much.
Definitely. I appreciate it.
We'll come back to you shortly. Right, next is the off-season MVP of the NFL UK scene. He's been on Sky Sports. He's everywhere. He's on Sky Sports. He's the Hamilton T-Cat special team coach and former coach with the Chiefs. It is the one and the only Mr. Jeff Reinbold. Jeff, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you very much for having me. Croc, good to have you with us, and it's going to be a hell of a show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Indeed it is. Jeff, you are officially a member of the Shank Club now, buddy. So, again, we really appreciate you taking time out and, again, proving why you are the off-season MVP.
Well, thank you, Pete. It's an honor. You know what? It's so crazy when we were talking about this the other day on the NFL UK live thing we did. We were talking about what's the biggest surprise of this season. And to me, it's just the incredible amount of, passion and energy and momentum there is in the UK fan base, even without the international games. And it comes down to shows like what you guys do, that grassroots NFL, fan shows. Those are change the dynamic in the UK.
That's cool. Well, yeah, the fact that you give us time, which is probably the reason, you give us a platform to be able to do what we do. So it's very much appreciated, Jeff.
All right. My pleasure.
The check's in the mail, Jeff.
Yeah, I've seen that check before.
And Jeff, don't worry, Jeff. We'll
that
make
was like you guys went to the Wimpy School of Economics. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a cheeseburger today.
Exactly. Jeff, you haven't got to panic, Jeff. We'll be finished by 5:30 to make sure you can get to see your beloved Leeds get stuffed by Liverpool later on today. So don't worry, we'll be done by then for you.
I'm calling 2-1 Leeds over Liverpool.
Oh, I hope so, man. I hope so.
I was going to say that's got to be 100-1 shot right there. Right, our last guest is just about to come on. Jason, the Tapemeister General Aponte from Niners All Day. You tell them, Jason, where else they can catch your stuff.
Yeah, 49ers Web Zone, 49ers Noir, Niners All Day. I'm on there now too. Honored to be here with Jeff and with Croc. Former NFL player, former NFL coach is a big treat for me. So I'm happy to be here with you guys.
A pleasure.
Yeah, good to have you on again, Jace. just a bit disappointed you didn't bring on a mimosa today.
No, I told you I can't. Look, last time I did that with the mimosas, my day was ruined. I had film to break down. I had stuff to do. I learned my lesson. That was just one-time deal.
Yeah, your family phoned us up and they gave us a real hiding for having you that early in the morning. So I don't think you'll come on again.
Yeah, you need to toughen up, Jason. This is a man's world, baby.
For sure. Well, that's why I tried to drink 4 or 5 so fast last time.
Brilliant.
Right, Pete, do you want to kick us off with the Thursday night game?
Yeah, be more than happy to. And I'm sure everybody was just as buzzed as I was to have football back on our TV screens. Obviously, for us, we're up late, 1:30 in the morning watching the games, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It was great to start. Great to have the sort of 2 teams there. Texans, Chiefs at Arrowhead. And I guess before we sort of put it out to these guys here, I guess sort of my takeaway from the game was how impressed I was with the rookie players, considering it was such a weird off season for these guys. I know sort of injuries can be a bit of an issue, but like some of the rookie players, I've sort of Kelechi Osemele, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, L'Jarius Sneed, David Johnson. These guys were players for me that were almost the sort of best ones on the sort of field. So it's great to see these players coming straight in and playing really well. Unfortunately, as you guys probably know, I was picking the Texans to win this one, and quite embarrassing. I was getting a bit of a slating on social media because I've been big on the Texans in the off season. I had to sort of stick with them on this, but I was thoroughly impressed and surprised how well Kansas City came out the chute. They went straight out there. The new rookie players looked good. They were impressive. I think they sort of did it, probably in second gear, not even in first gear. But yeah, it was great to have football back on our screens. And yeah, I just absolutely love everything. It could have been any score and it wouldn't have bothered me. Just the fact that we've now got to the point we're playing ball, I'm happy. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, for me, I mean, yeah, just like everyone, I guess, that's watching and everyone that's on the panel, it's just great to have football back. A lot of people said there wouldn't be a season, all the naysayers, but we've got a season, thank God. We can have something to look forward to now for the next 17 weeks and beyond. The thing that most impressed me about the game was both the offense and defensive line of Kansas. I mean, they were pushing people around. Manhandling them, and they just looked. It looked scary, and I know repeating is very, very difficult. And while they weren't firing all cylinders, it was week 1. They got the W. I think the score flattered the Texans, if I'm honest, because they did get 2 garbage time TDs. It shouldn't have been that close, really. But no, just great to have football back. Very strange seeing the stadium sort of half empty with the piped-in sound. But no, really enjoyed it. Glad I got up and watched it. What about you, Eric? What did you think?
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought it was good to just see football. Like you guys said, there were a lot of people that felt like there wouldn't even be a season. And I remained optimistic, thinking, that there's a chance until there's not a chance. And Thursday was really cool. It was really loud too, especially at the start of the game. I was thinking maybe that was piped in sound, but they said no, that was all the fans. And those 16,000 fans that showed up, they made a lot of noise. And the guys that we thought would make plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, they did. Whether it was Watkins, Edwards-Helaire, obviously, the quarterback Patrick Mahomes, and Tyreek Hill catching a touchdown. So on the defensive side of the ball, I was really impressed with the playmakers from the Kansas City Chiefs. So, Chris Jones, it seems like he was causing pressure all night. Frank Clark, and also Tyrann Mathieu, getting in there, even after getting after the passer. So it was really cool. It was a fun game to watch, and I'm excited to see tomorrow as well.
Absolutely. How about you, Jeff? What did you see in the game?
I thought, first of all, I was really happy for the Hunt family before the game because Lamar Hunt was he was the owner when I was there, and what a tremendous man, and that whole family, really great people. So I was really happy for the Hunt family to be able to raise that banner and have the Lombardi Trophy on the field before the game. I thought there were some things that were good to see. If you're a Texans fan, the fact that you have two new coordinators, Tim Kelly calling plays for the first time, and Anthony Weaver, the new defensive coordinator. I think both those guys showed that they can handle the job over the course of the game. I thought the Texans offense obviously is a work in progress, but I thought Anthony Weaver did a nice job of throwing a bunch of looks at Mahomes early and playing the game the way he had to play it to have a chance to win the game, and that's keep the ball in front of you and not give up big plays. On the other side of the ball, I thought I really saw growth in Mahomes' game, and there were only two throws in the first half that I would say he'd like to have back. There was one that kind of sailed over a guy on third down and should have been picked, and then the ball he threw at the last play of the half, last offensive play of the half, that should have been picked off in the end zone. That one showed his fact that he is still a young kid. So, but a really, really nice job of getting the ball out of his hands quick against 5-man pressure, the zone blitz stuff. They played cushion all day long. So again, Eric Bieniemy and the offense of Kansas City just took advantage of all those short, quick throws. And then anytime they got in the goal line, man, what great play design with all the unders and the picks and rubs they were doing. I agree with Croc. I thought that, Kansas City, nobody talks about Kansas City defense, but last 6 games of the year last year, that's best defense in football. And then they went out last night. And, Deshaun Watson is a great player and a guy who's had a history of putting a team on his back. And I thought they did a great job of playing, having a plan against them, not giving him the rush lanes on, when he drops back, scramble around. The zone pressure was really good because it kept him in the pocket. And, Tyrann Mathieu, I tell you fellas, that guy is a straight stone cold football player.
Yeah. For sure. Jace,
I was with you. Sorry, Pete. I was with you, Jeff, until you brought up the fact that they put up the championship banner and showed off the Lombardi and the I switched off.
Yeah.
Once you said that, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though. You know what, man? I tell you, San Francisco's got their share of them over in that building in Santa Clara. And, the Chiefs, it had been since 1969 since they'd won a championship. And like I say, you talk about class people in a class organization. That's the Chiefs. So I was happy for the whole Hunt family and the organization, because there've been a lot of great players and great coaches come through that place that couldn't win a championship. And for Andy and his staff to do it, it's awesome.
Cool. Sorry, Pete, to cut you off.
No, that's all right. Yeah, obviously we'll just nip down and see what Jason's take was on the game.
Yeah, so I walked away impressed with the defense and for like the reasons that you guys said. But what I noticed was it looked like the Chiefs identified that I think I got his name wrong. Is the lineman on the right side for the Texans named Tyrus Howard or Titus Howard, something like that?
Yes, you talking about the right tackle?
Yes.
Yeah, the kid they drafted the first round.
Right. The Chiefs identified that, and they went right away from Tunsil, and they went right with Clark and Chris Jones right at him. And he had a rough night. And they identified that pretty quickly. The other thing that the Texans tried to do in the beginning is Rashad Breeland's out for the first 4 games with the suspension. They tried to test that rookie corner, and man, I got to say, he answered the bell a bit. Like, they were not shy about the fact that they were going to throw at him. They were going to throw deep on him and see what he had. And he played well, and the Tyrann Mathieu thing, it's like you have 2 guys that are going to be rushing the quarterback, from one side on a weak spot. And then Tyrann Mathieu is just like lurking around the middle, just like standing around, moving this way, moving that way. He's just invaluable to what that defense does. And he gives them a flexibility as far as what they can call, as far as what they can be as exotic, and they can disguise things because of how versatile Honey Badger is. And then with the Texans, they're obviously trying to work through like Jeff said, new coordinators, new players. Brandon Cooks is brand new. They're trying to get their timing down. David Johnson's brand new. David Johnson actually looked really good Thursday night. And that was surprising because I think that a lot of fans had him pegged as done for with the way that he finished with the Cardinals. But man, he was showing some flashes of 2016 when he was a 2,000-yard guy. So I mean, it's continuity that the Chiefs had on their side, and that's kind of the advantage that most teams have that are bringing back everyone, all staff. They don't have to incorporate anything new. They can sort of, in a way, hit the ground running. The Texans, obviously have a little bit more to clean up. But it's just good to see football again, man. Like I said, I can't wait to get my hands on the All-22 so I could see some other things on there as well too. But yeah, the Chiefs are just. It's so tough to stop them. Like it is. Like if they want to give you a game where they're going to give you all Kelsey, or if they want to give you all Watkins or Hill, they can do all those things. And now you're talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is making this running game better than last year. I'm sorry, I don't want to react off of one game, but I think that he's already probably better than Damian Williams was last year for them.
Yeah, that was definitely something to sort of take note of. Was that kid's first game? He was impressive. It's hard not to sort of be impressed by that debut and what he was sort of offering to that run game. But I think the sort of from what I sort of saw, the offensive line was sort of giving him some sort of real good gaps to sort of find, and he was making some real fast cuts. So I think we're going to be sort of seeing and hearing his name being called out quite regularly. But be interesting to see if they obviously do sort of continue with that run game a little bit more.
I'm going to tell you, Pete, they're going to be a handful because you look at structurally what they do to you, because they've got so much speed outside, and that is a freaking track team that they got at wide receiver. And now you're going to play too high most of the night to keep the ball in front of you, which is what they were doing, and which is what the Texans were doing. Well, when that's the case, now your box is void. You only got 7 in the box, and there were a lot of times where all Kansas City had to do was get a hat on a hat, and then Helaire would make his cuts. Andy Reid's been in the draft room for 21, 22 NFL drafts probably as a head coach and more as an assistant. And in all his time as a head coach, Edwards-Helaire is the only first-round running back he's ever taken. And, you're talking about a guy that's had, Shady McCoy, and he's had some really good running backs in Philadelphia. And that kid is going to be the rookie of the year. I truly believe it.
Yeah, and you got to feel sorry for Andy Reid because the whole game he couldn't actually see it through that visor either.
Wow.
Poor guy.
That was a real a weird thing, because obviously everyone had the masks on and he was the only one with the visor, and you could see he couldn't see. And I thought that he'd mask the thing where his mouth is, so obviously they can't read his lips or whatever up in the booth. But no, it was just his breath. It was quite bizarre, and I think next game we might see him in just a face mask, but we'll see. Right.
I think it helps.
Get a face mask or a windshield wiper on that thing.
Yeah, I think it helps to have what he had though, because if you saw the microphone was inside the shield, and I would assume when you wear the the little mask that most people are wearing, it probably muffles your voice. So if he's talking in and relaying plays to his quarterback and maybe it's muffled, that might be kind of difficult. But with that thing he's wearing now, it's probably actually really clear as far as what the quarterback's hearing.
Croc, did you notice particularly in the first half, I thought I would really love to have an opportunity to talk to Andy Reid this week, because I think he's trying to cede more of control of the offense to Eric. And I think that's to help Eric get, Eric's going to be a head coach real soon. And, but Eric's big challenge is people don't recognize him as the offensive coordinator.
Right.
When Patrick goes over and sits down on the bench, you know how it is in pro football. It's all about perception and labels, right? So when Pat goes over and sits down on the bench and the quarterback coach and Andy talk to him, it makes it, the owners who don't know anything are going to be watching the film and go, well, why is he talking to that guy? As opposed to talking to Eric. But I thought their communication getting plays in the first quarter was a little bit shaky, because you notice Mahomes was always asking for the play sooner, which is, I think that's one of those things that even coaches right now have to work through the mechanics of the game.
How does it work with who's calling plays in? Obviously, we see Andy Reid's mouth moving, and it looks like he's possibly calling plays in. But I remember, a few years back with the 49ers, they had different guys calling plays depending on where they were moving down the field. So at some point it might have been Greg Roman. Another point it was like
Chris
Harbaugh and Chris, like they were all kind of calling plays at different areas of the field. Maybe Andy Reid talking isn't really him calling plays, and maybe it is Eric Bieniemy, but like to the casual fan, like we are now, and most people, I think it does look like it's Andy Reid, and maybe that does take a little bit away from Bieniemy and kind of what he's doing. Just like there's a lot of coaches where it's like, well, is who's calling the plays, like Jay Gruden and McVay, right? Who was calling the plays? Is it Gruden calling the plays, or is it his offense, or was McVay calling plays? Those are things. Even though a guy has the tag as offensive coordinator, those are some things that we don't really know.
Yeah, you know what? I tell you, it's each is a little bit different. I've worked for guys, Croc, that had the headsets on and couldn't call an offensive play if they had to, but they wanted to look. They wanted to look like they were calling offensive plays. But I think I'm a big Eric Bieniemy fan. I think Eric's going to be a head coach real soon. And again, I think what it looked like to me was that Eric was calling them, that Andy was like giving him parameters as they were going down the field, like give me a run here or give me a throw here or whatever. But, man, they are hard to defend. I mean, they are hard to defend.
But it make you defend every inch of the field.
Yep.
And you saw that with like the fake screen this way, fake screen out, to the sideline, and then dump it off to the tight end on a tunnel screen. So doing things like that, it really slows up the pass rush. Guys are thinking a little bit more instead of just reacting. I really like how Andy Reid, has really done that over his time as a coach.
Yeah, he's scary. I'll tell you what's scary, fellas, is they hung 34 on a playoff defense, and that's healthier than it was last year. And it's the first week of the season. You know how they always say that offenses are going to be behind defenses early. These guys are all you can do is hope your defense gets a couple stops and that you can score, because you're not going to hold them.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that play that you said earlier on about Mahomes, where he threw it and it just sort of went over. I think it might have been Watkins' head, and they had a chance to pick it. We've realised this year we can't miss opportunities like that. If there's something like that, it's got to be taken, because there's not going to be many opportunities to get turnovers against this team, and you've got to take every chance, because I know it's game one, but they looked impressive.
Pete, that's the pressure that they put on you, right? They score so much that you get in the mindset that you can't miss one. You can't miss an opportunity. And that changes your psyche as a play caller. Because if you look at them and they're scoring, and they had 17 in the first half, and I didn't think they looked particularly good. I mean, the Texans were making them work for everything up the field. But then you start going, how many possessions do you get, and how many times do you have to score to beat them? And now you start thinking, every time you go out there, you got to put points on the board, and that's tough. They put you in a vice, man. They're like a freaking boa constrictor.
I have a question for you guys actually too. Like, what I noticed too in this game was, the Chiefs never had a game. I don't think they had a game last year, and if they did, it was early in the season last year where they ran the ball more than they passed. I found that particularly interesting because is this a philosophical change? Is this game plan? Is this game flow? And it's kind of telling that Andy Reid drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire and gave him 25 carries out of the gate, and gave him every goal line carry too. So like the level of trust that they have in CEH. Jason, I asked if I should pick CEH third overall. You can see why I said it was a serious question. Yeah, I mean, fantasy football is different, but the upside is there with that, because he does get all the goal line looks. And for somebody who is just drafted to be able to step right into that role right away, it shows the level of trust that Andy Reid has in him, man. And I think that just shows what they think of him.
I think it's really interesting when you make a good point, and I know some of it was out of necessity, but Croc, how about that rookie corner going out there and holding up against Fuller and all those other guys, and Spags put him in press, and he had safety help, but that's a tall ask for a raw rookie to go out there and press Fuller and Cooks and all the guys that they tried to run at him. I thought that kid played extremely well.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about the receiving group over there with the Texans, especially since the departure of DeAndre Hopkins. But I actually like the group. I think moving forward, like you guys said, they have to figure out how to build continuity. Maybe Bill O'Brien has to change the way he calls plays. I know he probably wants to dial up a lot of deep shots with these guys that they all run 4-3s. But maybe he just has to figure out exactly how to tweak it to where they do more quick game, and maybe that'll help Deshaun Watson get the ball out of his hands quicker, and just try to figure out maybe a way to kind of get more run after catch with these guys, at least until the right tackle and some of the offensive line starts holding up a little bit better.
Before the I was gonna say that before that was happening, actually, before Duke Johnson got injured, for some reason, this was the first time that I've seen Bill O'Brien do this. He had Duke and David on the field at the same time. So I'm not certain like what they plan to do with that. Unfortunately, Duke hurt his ankle, so I don't know if we're gonna get to see that next week. But I think Croc's right. Like, he wants to dial up all those deep passes, but the protection doesn't hold up for Watson. And then you get this point where Watson's running around for his life, trying to make something happen, which is probably when he's at his best, when he's off schedule like that. But the offensive line definitely is a reason why they couldn't take deep shots on Thursday. And yeah, Fuller, Cooks, all those guys are deep guys like that. So yeah, for sure, that's what they want to do. So it is going to be interesting. Even Kelly Stills, who's there and almost seems forgotten about. Is a fast guy, veteran in this league, savvy guy. Like, they have weapons there. It's just that the injury concerns with Fuller, the injury concerns with Cooks, it's I think it's the offensive line that kind of held them back from trying to hit a little bit more down the field, because Watson just didn't have a lot of time. Like, he was just running a lot of the plays. When they moved Chris Jones and Frank Clark over to the right side, it really got bad.
Yeah, it definitely comes across that Kansas were easily the better team there, but I kind of also felt that the Texans were just a little bit sort of rustier as well, weren't quite sort of as ready as what the Chiefs just sort of came straight in out the chute. I think the Texans will get better for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I say, the Chiefs are going to be awesome to watch this year, that's for sure. Anyone else want to sort of throw anything onto this game before we move on? Anything we've missed? No? Okay, right. Okay, well, that was pretty simple. But obviously, moving on, what we wanted to do is we wanted to say thanks to everybody that's been supporting Shank Club NFL. Obviously, we got you guys on, but there's been a lot of NFL UK-based fans which have kind of helped us through, supported us, watched our shows, commented, and we wanted to sort of say thanks by bringing them on to see you guys and talk about their game for this weekend. The first game we wanted to talk about, and the first person we wanted to bring on was Danny, who represents the Atlanta Falcons.
Hello, everyone. You're right.
Danny's been supporting us since we sort of got started, and what he's doing at the Atlanta Falcons UK, is very good. Him and his buddy Cal have been representing over in the UK. Again, we just wanted to sort of say thanks and to talk about the game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Georgia. The Seahawks versus the Falcons. Danny, it's nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone.
The floor is yours, man. Tell us what you think is going to be going on in this opening game for your boys, Seahawks at Falcons.
I'd love to say that we're going to run away with it, but I'm going to be realistic and say that it's probably going to be a one-score game. I do see the Falcons taking it, but literally by a touchdown, if that. They are an unbelievable team. Russell Wilson, regardless of our offensive line and our defense and everyone, I don't think it matters how good we perform. He's one of those quarterbacks that can just pull something out of nowhere on his own, regardless of how every other team performs. I want to say that we've got some good matchups in that we've signed Hayden Hurst and Todd Gurley. So people like, Jamal coming in and Bobby Wagner, they're going to have some solid competition coming up when they're starting the game. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to say it's a close game.
Good stuff. With regards to it being the opening game of the season, am I right in thinking there's only two teams this season having fans in the stadium? Is it the Jags and obviously the Chiefs? Is that right? So your stadium's going to be...
Yeah, we're empty until the start of October at least at the moment in time. So it is a home game. So yeah, no fans unfortunately.
It is a shame, and it's going to be a big game. Seahawks are going to be legit contenders like they always are. Daniel, have you got a question or anything like that you want to ask the panel?
My question to the panel would actually be, do we think that Jamal Adams was worth the trade that he was put in for? It was 2 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick or something like that. And that, to me, is a massive load to get rid of for one player. Do you think he's going to be that valuable as the season goes on?
Well, let's
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Jamal Adams, he's a chess piece, and he does so much. He obviously can play some too high stuff, but I think where his value is most is around the box, whether it's in the run. He's just a very disruptive player. Against the run, he sniffs them out, and he's in the backfield as soon as the ball is snapped. He comes off the edge at times, to make plays on the quarterback. And we saw him last year get some sack strips, return for a touchdown. He can just affect the play at any time. And for me, I put a lot of value into those type of guys. You mentioned the draft capital they gave up, which is definitely steep. One thing I think when you look at the draft coming up, a lot of these guys that are going to be in the draft, you won't even really get to see them play this season. So I think it is maybe a bit more of a crapshoot with draft picks, even more than it usually is. And even when it's not a crapshoot, the Seahawks haven't really been good, especially at the top rounds. But Jamal Adams, man, terrific player. I think the biggest thing I take away from that trade and what he can do for that defense is he just changes games. He changes games, and he can change it at any moment. I think that's the biggest thing I'll watch for tomorrow.
Yeah, Coach, I think I was listening to you on Inside the Huddle, and you were mentioning about obviously playing Jamal Adams in the right position and the Seahawks not potentially playing him in his favoured position. Is that going to be a factor, or we're going to see a really great player this season, or just a standard player?
Well, I don't think he's a great player. It's just that, so much of a player's production is based upon his ability to be in a position to make plays. Now, when you look at the Seahawks, the thing that Pete has always been, and I'm going back to USC days and before, he's always been a single high safety guy. Now, in my mind, that doesn't necessarily play to Jamal Adams' strength, because I agree with Croc. Jamal Adams is a factor and a force anytime he's around the box, and he'll wear a running back's ass out as a blitzer. I mean, he is a really, really good blitzer and a violent player. The Seahawks' modus operandi in their defense forever has been that guy is in the middle of the field, and he's a guy that controls the middle of the field, But it'll be interesting to see if Kenny Norton takes advantage of Adams' unique skill set, because to me, I think 2 first-round draft choices for a guy who just is going to play the middle third of the field, I don't know how you can justify that. But if they take and use Adams like Kansas City uses Tyrann Mathieu, then I can see him being worth every penny. Let's face it, if they don't improve on defense, no matter how good Russell Wilson is, they're not going to go deep into the playoffs. And Russell Wilson has the ability to put a team on his back, but last year they were really, really, really shaky on defense.
Yeah. Nick, what are your thoughts on this game? Because I know how much you love the Seahawks, and I know you're probably eager to big them up. So, what are you thinking of the Seahawks-Falcons game, buddy?
Unfortunately, this is a family show, and I can't swear. But I love what Russell Wilson can do. He annoys the out of me and I've seen it for so many years in the 49ers Sea Chickens games. I know what that guy's capable of. I think they're signing of Adams, like a lot of people said, it's a lot of capital to give away, but maybe not so much because obviously the draft next year, if there's not a lot of college teams playing, it is a bit of a crapshoot, I agree. But I think they're trying to be in win now mode. It still amazes me that they haven't got a pass rush. They certainly still don't really have a very good offensive line. But Wilson is just he's got such good escapability, and he bounces back up. Even when you smack him, he gets up. Me personally, I'd love to see the Falcons smash him. but I can't see it. And it pains me to say it, but I think the Seahawks are going to win, unfortunately. I'm a Matty Ice fan, as you know. I think he's a great QB, but it's just that you don't know what Russell Wilson's going to do kind of thing that just makes me shade over to Seattle. Obviously, Julio Jones is a baller. Yeah, I don't know. As I say, I'd love to see Atlanta win it, but I just maybe home field advantage if they had the stadium full would help, because obviously sometimes the Seahawks are a bit shaky on away games. But yeah, to me, unfortunately, I still can't see past the Seahawks. What do you think, Jason?
So the Jamal Adams thing, and you know, I'm just gonna piggyback on what these guys said. It's so true about what Jamal Adams brings to this team. He can rush the passer, he can stop the run, he can single cover tight ends. Like the Jets utilized him that way. If Kelsey's on the other side, they have Jamal Adams following him around. Like they used to do it with Gronk too. Also, like that's the sort of flexibility that he brings. Just like Honey Badger. The Seattle secondary is stacked, man. Dunbar, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, and Griffin now on the other side. That's a formidable secondary. Now, I think that really the issue, like Nick said, is where's the pass rush going to come from, right? No Clowney. Bruce Irvin's back, and I mean, you know, no disrespect to him, but I'm not nervous about him, you know, coming in and having an impact because he has such little impact when he was in Oakland, and he's a little bit long in the tooth right now to keep playing this game. But I have a feeling that like right now this move feels like the Seattle Seahawks are going for it this year. Like this is it, right? Now the issue is you give up 2 first rounders for Adams, you have to pay him now. Are you going to pay him with the salary cap going down? Are you going to pay him and lose other guys? You know, like the best part is that, you know, DK's on a rookie deal. You know, Chris Carson still really hasn't gotten paid. So they have a bunch of guys that they still have on rookie deals. But next year it's going to get a little hairy when Jamal Adams comes to the table. If Budda Baker got how much did Budda get on Croc? 26?
It was a good amount. I think it made him like the highest paid safety.
Right. If Budda Baker's getting 26, Jamal Adams is going to walk into Seattle's office and say, "Give me 30." Like he can do that because he is a bit more like they use Budda Baker in the same way to shadow tight ends and things like that. But I think we know who's better between him and Jamal Adams. So I think that's going to be the interesting part. As far as the game goes, I'm just interested to see how this secondary is going to slow down this Falcons passing attack, because what we all know about Dirk Cutter is he's not really a run the ball guy. You know, like his work attempts are always low. And this offense is conducive to success through the air. Like Julio Jones is the best receiver in the game. Calvin Ridley is a guy that is on his way to breaking out this year. Hayden Hurst, they sent the 2 over for Hayden Hurst, which shows you how much they think of Hayden Hurst. And for the Ravens to get a second for Hayden Hurst, that's incredible, honestly. But they want to utilize his speed in the middle of the field. He's much faster than Austin Hooper. So, you know, I'm interested to see how Seattle handles this passing attack and what it's going to look like if they can't rush the passer.
I'm probably more curious to see how the Falcons handle the Seahawks passing attack. You know, you have a young corner, you know, AJ Terrell, who luckily for him, he's been going up against Julio Jones all camp. But now, you know, you have the Seahawks coming in, and yeah, they lean on the run a lot, but they'll take some deep shots. And they definitely will be targeting, you know, DK Metcalf and, you know, and also Tyler Lockett, you know, who works all levels of the field. So I'm interested to see how some of these guys in the Falcons secondary, especially a young guy like Terrell, handles up against the Seahawks passing game, and if they can limit the big plays, because that's what, you know, Russell Wilson, they kind of lull you to sleep a little bit with the run game, and then they'll have a play action. He'll drop back 15 yards, scramble a little bit, and then air it out. And if the you know, Falcons aren't ready for that in that particular moment, you can see some big plays happen.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think what we'll probably have to do, obviously, to keep this sort of show rolling, I think we'll probably have to sort of have one guest talking about each game, or otherwise we're going to be until the early hours of tomorrow morning. It's a shame because it's great to hear everybody's opinion and views, but just before Danny goes, let's go around the horn for predictions for this game, Atlanta versus Seattle. Nick, who are you picking?
Seahawks.
Going for the Seahawks. Croc?
Falcons.
Coach?
I'm going to take the Falcons.
Mimosa?
Dirty Birds.
I'm going for the Seahawks, Danny.
And I'm going for the Falcons. And just to wind Nick up, I'm going for 2 Todd Gurley touchdowns as well.
Bit early for you to be on the drink, Danny.
Danny, thanks very much for coming on the show, mate. Again, thanks for your support. Say hello to Cal for us, mate.
Will do, mate. Thank you for
Great
having
job,
us.
Danny. Thank you.
Enjoy the game on Sunday, mate. All right.
Ciao, mate. See you later.
Take care, buddy.
All right,
Cheers,
brother.
Danny.
Sweet.
There you go. So that's the first game in the books. Right, moving swiftly along. We don't have a guest coming on for this. But the next game we're going to be looking at is the New York Jets, Croc's old team, at the Bills. Croc, do you want to start us off on this one? What are you thinking about this game?
I just, the Bills have a terrific defense. I'll try to make it quick. Bills have a terrific defense, and who do the Jets have that are going to really threaten that defense and kind of open it up a little bit? So I think really that's where the game is going to be kind of tough for the Jets and Sam Darnold. I just don't think the Jets have enough and I don't think that the Bills offense is great. I know a lot of people are really high on Josh Allen. I think he's okay, but they're going to lean on that defense, and I think they should be fine against Jets because they just don't have the weapons like that. I think the best running back right now is Frank Gore. I don't even think people are really thinking highly of Le'Veon Bell right now. And Frank Gore, obviously, I love Frank Gore, but he's like 49 years old. I don't know how I feel about him being your best running back. So yeah, it's kind of tough for the Jets right now.
I wish I'd have looked that good at 49, Croc. I tell. Oh yeah,
Mate,
no,
I bet you looked that good when you were 29, Nick.
I can't remember that far back. Yes, just looking at the injury report for the Jets and what you're saying about the thing, I see that Denzel Mims is out, the wide receiver for the Jets. And also, I think their lead running back, LaMichael Pirines, out as well. So, again, that diminishes the offense, definitely. Coach, what do you see?
Well, I think it's interesting, for the Jets, they got to keep the pressure off of Sam Darnold. They can't get behind on the sticks and get him into situations where it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, those kind of deals. And I think that means they got to run the ball. Now, you look at Buffalo. Buffalo lost Shaq Lawson, and then Lotulelei opted out. So they've got some holes in the inside of their defense. And, if you were going to beat the Bills last year, you needed to run the ball against them. So I think that's going to be interesting to watch that. Obviously have Tre'Davious White outside, so he can lock down anybody that the Jets have. I just think Darnold's the big key. And this is his 3rd year now, and the 3rd year in the program, and obviously he's got to show that he's making the steps that a young quarterback should make. Now, granted, he came into the league the youngest player in that class, but you're 3 years in the league. You got to stop seeing ghosts and you got to start seeing what's in front of you. And I agree with Croc. I don't know if New York has the weapons to beat the Bills. And I'm anxious to see what Stephon Diggs brings to that Buffalo offense, because as big as Josh Allen's arm is, his deep ball percentage was right at the bottom of the league last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Jason, what do you say?
Yeah, so the Denzel Mims thing is so strange. Like in training camp, his right hamstring hurt, and then yesterday they said now his other hamstring's hurt. And that was their receiver that they drafted to try to build around. They brought in Brashad Perryman from Tampa Bay. He looks like he's good to go, but he's going to wind up getting Tre'Davious White, so that's wiped out. That whole deep game is wiped out. I think where the Jets want to live right now, especially in this game when they have somebody on the other side who can wipe out their deep threat, which is Perryman, is they're going to live in the intermediate. Like don't be surprised if Jamison Crowder gets 15 targets this week. Don't be surprised if Chris Herndon gets 9 to 10 targets over the middle, because they all live in the same space of the field, right? The offensive line has improved for the Jets, and I agree that you do have to run the ball to beat the Bills. But again, they just don't have enough to get it done. Like if the Bills lose this game, it's probably because Josh Allen had a horrific game. That's the best way that I could put it. The defense doesn't really scare you. They've got 2 running backs over there that are more than capable. Singletary was great last year, almost 6 a carry. And Zach Moss is great, man. Like, I think that people are going to be surprised when they see him on the field. And they see that he's going to wind up taking more of the role away from Singletary than they believe. So, you know, you got Stephon Diggs and you got John Brown, two of the best route runners in the league that don't really get their respect. Well, Stephon Diggs does. I think John Brown doesn't get the respect that he gets for the way that he runs routes. So the Bills have guys and they'll win this game just because they're the better team. But the Jets, the Jets have issues with their weapons deep down the field. Like, where they want to live is in the middle of the field with Crowder and Herndon, and that's not going to get it done against the Bills this week.
Yeah, I agree. Michael R. asked in the chat, how many games until Gase gets fired? And I was going to bring up about Gase and Darnold because I think
he's holding him back.
He's known as the QB killer, right? He did it in Miami. He's now come over to the Jets. And, yeah, it's over or under 8 games. I personally, I'd go under. Pete, what's your slant on this game?
Yeah, keep it short and sweet. I don't think the Jets are going to be doing anything this season. I don't think Darnold's going to improve. I think they're going to struggle. I've been big on the Bills and the AFC East to take the title this year. I think they're going back to the playoffs. And I'm definitely backing the UK Bills, Mark and Alex. They'll be happy to know that I'm definitely going for the Bills in this game.
That's the kiss of death on them then. So that'll be New York Jets that win.
Absolutely.
Right, let's go round the horn. Jason, who you got?
Bills.
Coach?
Bills.
Croc?
Bills.
Pete?
Yeah, I'm with the Bills.
I think that's a clean sweep for the Bills. Right, Pete, who's up next and what game are we doing?
So next game up, basically, this is going to be bringing on one of my new friends that I've met. And definitely one of my favourite guests we've had on the show. She's by far the biggest super fan I've ever seen. She's an absolute legend. Introductions aside, here is the Chicago Bears super fan that is Claire the Bear, my good friend. How you doing, Claire?
Hi, guys.
Hey, Claire, how are you?
How's everyone doing?
Aloha, how's it?
I mean, to be fair, probably more people know you, Claire, than everybody else in the room. You are
other than Jeff, not there.
But obviously, we've brought you on because we want to be talking about the Bears at Lions, Ford Field. I know you're going to be excited. What's your take on the game, Claire?
I feel really dirty. I've just been down to the bookies. I've put some money on the Lions to win.
Wow.
We are injury riddled. We've had Mac has been limited in play this week. Eddie Goldman opted out to play this entire season due to COVID. We haven't won our season opener since 2013. We've got the longest running non-starter across the NFL. I think the Colts and the Bucks are behind us, but yes, 6-7 games straight. If we open, we lose. So, yeah.
So you're
Give
not
me some good news. Will you?
Yeah.
We're getting to watch some football.
To be fair, Claire,
that's about as good as it gets for you this weekend, Claire, isn't it?
Yeah, out of all the friends and fans I know, you are probably the most honest. You will say it as you see it, and as much as you love football and you love the Bears, you do look a beaten woman already in the season.
It's going to be a close, dirty, traditional NFC North black and blue division matchup. I think it's going to be tight, but I think that Matthew Stafford, who is notoriously good at slipping out at the fourth quarter and really, the fourth quarter is his quarter. I think they are just going to break away and go over the hill. But I want us to make a matchup. I want Trubisky to be consistent. I don't want sexy play. I'm not expecting the Chiefs by any stretch of the imagination. But they only need to go 4-5 yards of play consistently. We picked up at the beginning of the off season and after our draft, we had 10 tight ends on our roster. So just crazy stuff. I live in hope. We all do as NFL fans, but yeah, the smart money. I want to take the bookies' money. Lions to win.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I thought I was going to be the best dressed person on the show today, Claire, but unfortunately, you've taken over the mantle. Have you got a question for one of the guests?
So Jeff, me and Jeff have got a little bet on that. He thinks 3 teams from the NFC South make the playoffs. He thinks both wildcard teams are coming out of the South. Do you still stand by that prediction?
I think, yeah, because I think what's going to be, unless they all cannibalize each other, because they're all so close and they're such good football teams, they may all beat each other, and then it'll be tough. Because you're going to, you think about it, Claire, to be a wild card team, you got to win, I think, at least 9. You got to be, I think. And, as you look at the schedules, I think both of those, there are 3 teams in that division that can win 9 games. But that is if they don't cannibalize each other. It's the one that the NFC North is an interesting, really, really interesting division to me, because I think any of the teams in the North, have a chance to win that division. I think Minnesota can. I think the Bears can. I think Detroit may be the worst of first team this year. I mean, it's going to be a really, really interesting division to watch.
Yeah, no, we've got another fan coming on later on talking Minnesota football. So
good to see you, Claire.
Good to see you guys.
Keep doing your thing.
And this week's giveaway is the Dolphins. So head over to Claire the Bear 85 and check that out, Shank Club.
Claire, can I give you a little bit of good news, Claire? Just a little bit of good news. Kenny Galladay is doubtful for this game, so
that's good news.
That is, I mean, it's not good news because I want to see him play football and I never want to see an injury, but that's got to make you feel better that you don't have to cover that.
We might lose by 10 then.
No, come on, Claire. Come on,
Claire.
Well, come on, let's see if we can give Claire some good news. Let's go around the horn and see who's predicting what to win this game. Nick, who are you going for, buddy?
Sorry, Claire.
It's fine. I know.
Coach?
They saw Quinn's out, so again, that changed the whole dynamic and protection for Detroit. So now he can, even if Mac plays, they can, slide the coverage at Mac all the time because there's nobody on the other side to take the pressure off of him. I think Goldman's going to be a bigger loss than people think because he's an outstanding inside player. So I'm going to take Detroit in a close game.
Jace?
Claire, look at me. The Bears.
Yeah.
You sucker.
No. Honestly, listen. I understand the losses on the defensive side, but that Galladay loss is really important. I feel like for me, and I don't think that the Lions have their running back rotation figured out completely with what they're doing with Kerryon Johnson. Adrian Peterson's there. They drafted DeAndre Swift. I'm going to be really interested to see how they line all this up. But it's continuity, right? Continuity is always going to be the tiebreaker for me, right? Like when it comes to who's going to be playing better, who's going to be doing this, the Bears are bringing everybody back, basically, right? Now, whether you think that's good because however you feel about Trubisky is up to you, but they do have the team that can get this done, and I'm going to jump out on a limb here and say that Matt Nagy has to win this game to start this year the right way. So this is an absolute must-win for the Bears, and I feel like they're going to treat it well.
Yeah.
Good shout. Croc, what's your call?
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions. And they burn me every year. So, I mean, every year I'm like, oh, this is the year for the Lions. And then it's never the year. But, I'm a believer in Matt Stafford, man. I think he's big-time talented. I like his weapons on the outside. We'll see if Galladay plays. But, yeah, I'm gonna go with Detroit.
Yeah. Sorry, Claire. Only the fact that it's at Ford Field, I'm going with the Lions on this one. But still. So it's only going to be game 1. There's plenty more games to go. So
yeah,
it's going to be good. Claire, thank you very much for joining us.
See you, Claire.
Thank you, Claire. Face masks and hand sanitizer and all that good stuff. Bye.
Indeed. See you later, Claire. Right. Okay. Nick,
did she support again? I just need reminding. I can't remember what team she supported. It was a bit of a tough one. That
you definitely won't miss her if you see her in London. That's for sure.
Indeed, just follow the bear, as we used to say over here in the UK. Right, next game up, Raiders at Panthers. And I do know we have a Raiders fan on here, Coach. So I'm going to let you lead off this time. What do you think?
The Raiders. I tell you that this one is really, really interesting because we're going to see what Matt Rule's all about. His debut as an NFL head coach. He has 1 year of professional football experience. He brought an awful lot of his young guys or his college guys on the staff with him to Carolina. I'm happy for Teddy Bridgewater get an opportunity to get back behind an offense. I know, I think he can really elevate them. It's going to take some of the pressure off McCaffrey. They've got speed outside. I just don't know if they're good enough in the offensive and defensive line to win more than 8 games this year. And I'm a little concerned about my Raiders too, because just Derek Carr's play is the biggest factor to me. I think, they've gone out and got him some weapons, and Jacobs is a really, really solid running back. But again, Derek's got to get the confidence from his coach that I don't think he's gotten. You watch him on tape, and he has an arm that can fit balls into places where they don't belong. And he's tough. And talk to Eric Harris, their captain on defense and their starting free safety. And he told me he's loved in the locker room, that he's a great leader. But for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to have John's confidence. And John can be tough. He's going to coach, particularly quarterbacks, really hard. I think, Mariota being hurt should give Carr a little bit of confidence because now he doesn't have to look over his shoulder as much. But I think it's going to be a really close game, but I think the Raiders have a better roster top to bottom.
It's definitely a big year, I think, for Carr this year. I think it's going to be make or break for him this year, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Croc, what do you think?
Is he frozen?
I think we might have froze.
You might have frozen. Jason, talk to me.
I got the Raiders in this one, and the Panthers defense just isn't going to be enough to hold up. I am interested to see what Matt Rule brings to this offense. And remember, guys, they brought in Robbie Anderson, who he has the connection with Rule, right? Temple, right? What I believe it was that they were there together. Curtis Samuel, I think, is one of the most underappreciated players in this league. And DJ Moore is also one of the more underappreciated receivers in this league as well, too. They have nice pieces. Again, happy for Teddy Bridgewater. Happy that he's, getting a chance to shine. He's going to fit well in this offense because of what they want to do. A lot of intermediate throws, play action, stuff like that. They're going to utilize McCaffrey the way that they do. The Raiders, I'm really just interested to see who's going to line up where now that Tyrell Williams is on IR. Like, are we just going to do Henry Ruggs in the slot? Or are we going to play him at Z? Are we going to play him at Y? Where does Brian Edwards fit in there? I think we all know what they're going to do with Josh Jacobs. The running game is incredible. The offensive line pushes guys around. But I'm interested to see it all rests on Carr. Carr needs to elevate his game because everything that I've seen for the last 2 years, his throws have been in the intermediate to very short range. He doesn't push the ball downfield. Now they've got guys that can get downfield. Henry Ruggs is probably the fastest guy that I've ever had to track when it came to college. So yes, I am interested to see what they're going to do. I think the Raiders take this one, but Derek Carr is the key to all of this. If he does not take another step, then you already know that John Gruden has his guy Nathan Peterman back there ready to go. That's a joke also, by the way, guys.
Stop it.
Nathan Peterman follows John Gruden wherever he goes. He will not let him go. I don't know what his obsession with Nathan Peterman is.
Man, and I tell you what, Peterman is an interception throwing machine. I mean, it's unbelievable. And, it's interesting. I was listening to WGR in Buffalo yesterday, and the Buffalo sports guys were taking shots at Peterman. He just got an extension and more money.
Yes. John Gruden will not quit Nathan Peterman. I don't understand it.
Well, it's interesting. You said, Jason, about what Carr's asked to do. Because of the nature of that offense, the West Coast, most of the time it's going to be intermediate to, quick throws. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure that really takes advantage of his strength because his strength, he's got a big arm. Mm-hmm. And, Ruggs, as you said, was, to me, the most dynamic. Everybody talked about CeeDee Lamb. But I tell you what, you watch Ruggs against SEC competition and compare the Big 12 to the SEC, it's not even close.
Right.
And he'd catch a smoke screen and shit, nobody could touch him.
That's right.
So I think he has really, really got a chance to be a great player early in his career in Las Vegas.
For sure, and then they'll utilize him that way too in the West Coast. Where they'll give him quick screens, they'll give him
Plants.
and and that's it. And he has the ability to once he gets a step on you, he's gone. He's just gone. It's a joy, honestly. If you guys ever get a chance and you want to see some crazy stuff before week 1, please put on some Henry Ruggs highlights, and you would think that Tyreek Hill went back to college.
Yeah, and he might be one guy around that could run with Tyreek Hill. And that's saying something, because those guys, you're talking about guys that are Olympic level track guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff, I'm going to be putting the mockers on the Raiders because I am favouring the Raiders this year. I said to Nick the other day, I think the Raiders are going to be overtaking Denver for second place in the AFC West. And to be fair, I'm pretty sure they finished on the same wins, losses last year. Denver only finished second, I think, sort of due to sort of matches played against each other or whatever it was. But I just feel that, Carr has really sort of come out fighting this preseason, and he wants to sort of prove the media wrong that he is a decent QB. Josh Jacobs, I love the kid. Any running back from Alabama, they know exactly what they're sort of doing. He's a powerhouse. I'm really sort of looking forward to seeing him play this year. And I just really think that they're going to be getting to the playoffs. They looked good last year. But yeah, unfortunately, I may well have put the mockers on the Raiders thinking that they're going to be overtaking Denver. But obviously, with Von Miller going down at the Broncos, my chances have gone up a little bit more because they're definitely going to be missing him. But I really fancy the Raiders. Apart from McCaffrey and Teddy Bridgewater there at the Panthers, I just can't see him doing that much this season. I really can't. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle. New coach, a lot of new defensive players. And I think the Raiders are going to take this one. I really do. I'm looking forward to seeing the Raiders this year, especially in Vegas in the new stadium. So we're looking good for the Raider Nation.
All right.
What happened to Croc?
Unfortunately, Jeff, he has just completely put the mockers on your team because he did that with the Texans. And how did that go?
Don't worry about my
Raiders.
They're going to be
playing the Super Bowl champs. That was a little bit different. This is the Carolina Panthers.
I mean, I think it's definitely a rebuild in the Panthers. Obviously, with Matt Rule's first season, be interesting to see what his offense looks like. But yeah, I can't. To be honest, I can't see. If the Raiders lose this game, then questions are already going to be asked in Vegas about the coach and QB. But we'll see. We'll see. So, Pete, I guess you're going with the Faders.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get Croc back at some point. He's obviously having some issues with his signal, but yeah, until he comes back. So yeah,
he's having some internet connection. He's trying to obviously sort that out. So if he does come back in, we'll obviously just get his quick take on this game.
Yeah,
Jeff,
Raiders.
who are you going with?
I'm going to take the Raiders.
Sweet.
Jason?
Raiders.
Grandad?
I'm going, unfortunately, with the Raiders.
Unfortunately.
And it's two teams now that I don't like that I've had to pick in the Sea Chickens and the Raiders. I'm going to need to sanitize soon because I feel dirty. It's horrible.
That's great. I love hearing you making these calls, and I know it pains you, which is why I'm enjoying seeing you say it, which is great. Right. So, okay, well, let's put a bookmark in that one. So the next game up is the Packers at Vikings. Interesting game. We have got a guest for this one. I'm hoping they're going to be on the screen. So I'm hoping they've been a bit typical Viking style, been winding me up before show, telling me it could be this guy coming on, that guy coming on. I think they've all been drinking a little bit too much mead, but I'm hoping we're going to have Morgan, who is the Southwest coordinator for the UCAN Island Minnesota Vikings fan club. I don't know if he's got any audio or anything. Anyone there from the Vikings?
Go Vikings!
Well, unfortunately, we can't see you, but we can definitely hear you. Is that Morgan?
Yeah, that's Morgan, mate.
Okay, good stuff. Well, Morgan, it's good to have you on the show, buddy. I say, unfortunately, we can't see you. I'm sure you've probably got a great big Vikings helmet on and lovely big pigtails coming out the side, which we unfortunately can't see.
Yeah.
But tell us, mate, what do you think for this opening game? at the US Bank Stadium?
Well, it's going to be interesting. We haven't got fans for our first two matchups, which will be interesting because it's a big home field advantage. We normally have.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see our defense because we've got young secondary coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to see Cam Dantzler is coming out of Mississippi State, allowed 57 pass rating, I think it was last year, which was that's amazing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Open to see Justin Jefferson go off on the Packers. What do you all think about what's Justin Jefferson going to do?
So early reports out of camp, had him pegged as the new slot guy from LSU because he excelled over there doing that. Fortunately, after you got to read some of the camp reports, it was apparent that Justin Jefferson wasn't as far as long as they wanted him to be. And to be fair, rookie wide receivers very rarely come right in the league and just all of a sudden get it, right? Like it happens so rarely that you have to applaud it when it does happen. Like not everybody's Odell Beckham that just shows up and they're great, or not everybody's Randy Moss and just shows up and they're great, So it was really BC Johnson that I had heard was running with the two. So I know for a fact that, the offense that the Vikings want to run, they don't want to run three wide receivers. That's not their thing. They're going to load you up with two tight ends. They're going to run the ball. Thielen's going to be the main target guy. But, they're going to have a lot of two tight end sets with Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith. So I think it's going to be interesting in the beginning of the year to figure out where Justin Jefferson lands on this, considering all the camp talk. And unfortunately, all we have to go by is the camp talk because we got no preseason games.
Sure. Coach, anything to add?
Thrown in at the deep end.
What's that?
Thrown in at the deep end for our rookies.
For Jefferson.
The defense, I'm really worried about the corners, but they're looking good.
I talked to Andre Patterson, their defensive coordinator, and when he and Zim have been together a long time, they coached together in Dallas and forever. But one of the things that he talked about, he said, yeah, we're going to be young, especially now that Danielle Hunter's out. But he said, we're going to be young, but we've been young before. And I think for that young defense, the offense, Kubiak's offense has really got to do a great job of controlling the ball, controlling time of possession. And I'm not a big time of possession guy, but when you got a young defense, you got to protect them a little bit. And Zim's a defensive coach, so I think he'll do that. About Jefferson, Jefferson's probably about where you would expect a rookie to be, especially the kind of rookie that he is. He's a long body guy. Those guys, and Jason talked about the challenge to go from the college level to the pro level. It's incredibly different in terms of what you see structurally. The coverages are so much more involved. The adjustments are so much more involved. Even in the SEC, which is the best, in my opinion, the best college conference that there is, you play against great players, but you don't see the intricacy or the intricacies of the game like you do in pro football. These guys, it's a job for these cats. This is how they feed their family. And in the, as a college receiver, you may see 6 coverages a game, and in the NFL, you're going to see 30. So for a young kid, it's a big ask. They got to be really simple with what they ask him to do.
Right. And let's not also, act like the people at this level aren't the best in the world also. Like a lot of guys get by, in high school and in college based on their athletics, right? And not really you ever hear the term, he's turning into a football player? Like there's guys who can run really fast, jump really high, catch the ball, but they don't really understand how you have to get open in this league with footwork, with subtle hand movements and things like that. Like all that stuff, it's very hard to pick up immediately. And I think that because we've seen so many wide receivers jump into this league and splash, we expect it from everyone. And I don't think that that's fair to put those expectations on Justin Jefferson right off the bat.
No, Thielen's gonna carry the load for them. But you think about that, and now Cousins is going to see a lot of single outside. And, the thing that you'd like to have, and this is the question to me about Minnesota, is where is the guy that can beat you one-on-one? Where's the guy that can...
Coach, you're reading my mind. That was going to be my question to you, right? Adam Thielen was incredible out of the slot when Stephon Diggs was flanking him on the outside.
Yep.
Now you're going to ask Adam Thielen to kick over to the outside, Coach. Do you think that he can do it?
Yeah, I think he can do it. The question is, what happens when, they squat on it? What happens when they press him and they put a guy over the top of him? That they're going to make him work for everything he gets. The reality is, when Diggs was there, they would, they'd shove the coverage the other way, so he got a lot more space. Now, Jefferson or somebody has got to prove that they can threaten the field in the middle and threaten it vertically, or he's just going to get, they'll play 1+ coverage on him all day.
For sure. I don't see how you're a defensive coordinator and you don't see the Vikings on there and make sure that Thielen doesn't beat you. Force them to send Irv Smith over the middle of the field or something like that. Like, force them to do other things. Get them out of there. Like, Kubiak wants to run the ball outside zone with Dalvin Cook all day. So you gotta figure out a way to take away the one arm that they have in the passing game, which is Thielen. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really interested to see this season how Adam Thielen deals with all the extra attention now.
Yeah, without somebody on the other side to help him.
Correct.
Excellent stuff. Well, hopefully that answered your question there for you, Morgan. Fellas, around the horn, who are we picking for this game? Packers, Vikings. Nick?
I'm going Packers. Too much in the run game for me.
Yeah. Coach?
Well, this is a pick'em game to me. I wouldn't touch this game.
Yeah.
With your money, and that's a lot of it. That's a big stack of green. I seriously, I would leave this game alone because I think it's a pick'em game, and I just don't know about Minnesota because like Pete said, we haven't seen any preseason. We got a lot of rookies that'll be playing in their first one. You would think that the advantage would go to Green Bay in that case.
Yeah, for sure. Jace?
Yeah, sorry, Morgan. I'm gonna roll with the Packers here. Division games can go either way. It doesn't matter the level of the teams. Like, you guys are so familiar. This is like a blood rivalry too. But again, the tiebreaker. I hate to sound like a broken record. The tiebreaker is going to be continuity. This team is bringing everyone back. They literally don't have any sort of additions or subtractions. And if the tiebreaker is not only that, the tiebreaker is Aaron Rodgers. So.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going with the Cheeseheads in these games. There's two teams I don't know too much about, but Rodgers is going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder after they drafted another QB. So watch out for Rodgers this year. Morgan, I'm guessing you're going for your boys?
Yeah, I'm going close game, 21-17 to the Vikings. Everyone make sure, check out the UK and Ireland Minnesota Vikings fan club. We're having a week 1 Zoom meet-up online watch party for it, and if old Boris Johnson changes the rules, we should be having some meetups in person, hopefully, this season. But yeah, that's it. Skol Vikings. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Hopefully, the president of the UK and Ireland Minnesota Vikings can get you a device that's got a camera on it next time, so we can see that lovely purple jersey and the helmet, because that would be great to see. But good luck, my friend. Right, Nick. Next game, mate.
I was just about to say, he's obviously got a face for radio, and he was also the lone wolf, and we should have got him to lone wolf, and we missed the trick on that one. That was our first lone wolf.
Nick, my gosh, you always have a joke for somebody. Goodness gracious.
Can't help myself, you know me. Right, excuse me. Right, next game up. Again, we'll touch on this one briefly. Eagles, Washington. Pete, talk to me. What you got on this one?
I feel sorry for Washington. Been one of probably the most horrible off-season for any team that I've ever sort of seen since following NFL. Certainly hope that Coach Rivera has a good recovery from his cancer, but I just think that I can't say the Skins anymore, can I? The Washington football team are going to struggle this year. I really do. Looking forward to seeing the draft that they brought in. Chase Young, but otherwise I just think it's going to be a struggle for Washington this year. Eagles, I like them. I do like Zach Ertz. I like him as a tight end. I think he's a good player, and I was quite impressed with I think it's Saunders, their running back last year, and I think it might be Boston Scott as well. Their other sort of running, they sort of look pretty good, the pair of them two last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Eagles play this year. I think they're going to go all the way with the Cowboys in the NFC East. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be alone when I say I'm expecting the Eagles to get a big win in this one.
I agree.
Sorry, helps if you unmute yourself. Sorry, Jeff. What do you think about this one?
I agree. With Pete, I think the Eagles roster is so much better than the Redskins. I'm a big Ron Rivera fan. I think I call them Redskins. The Washington football team is, they're trying to clean up a mess in Washington that's been 20 years long. Yep. And, there have been a lot of good coaches went through that place and couldn't win. And the biggest reason was the environment that exists in that building. And I think that, Coach Rivera's got the power, which is important to clean out. I know they talk about draining the swamp all the time in Washington. Well, it's more than the politics in Washington. It's the football team in Washington, right? They got to clean that building up, have a program. And when owners get involved as Daniel Snyder is and have the egos that these guys do, oftentimes you can screw up a good thing. And I think that's what's happened in Washington. And if you give Ron Rivera time and you give him some draft classes and you give him the power to, cut and hire players that he wants, I think you're going to have success. If you don't and you continue to run your organization the way you've run it, it's going to continue to be a 6-10 football team most years.
That's my guy right there too. Rennie, that's my guy. Thank you for tuning in, buddy. And tapping that in. That's somebody from Jersey, guys, who's joining. His wife is actually from the UK. So it's a nice little thing that he watches us when we're on or whatever, and it's cool. Thank you for tuning in, Ren.
Sweet.
Ren, I hope you're right. He has the juice card, because if you give him the juice card, he's gonna be all right. If you try and meddle in the football affairs, which you got to stay out of, it's gonna be tough.
Yep.
To me, Washington are very interesting at the moment. As you say, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with the owner and the name change and this, that, and the other. I want to see them do well, because I've got a bit of a soft spot because they've obviously got Alex Smith over there. Amazing story. Have they got enough? I don't think so. I think the Eagles are going to be far too good for this team. I'm not saying Washington, won't put up some points and stuff. Eagles obviously relying on Carson Wentz. What happens if he goes down? To me, it's quite an intriguing game. I think it could be close, and then the Eagles pull away in the second half. It might be a good first half. But yeah, it's an interesting game to me. But I've got to go. Yeah, I can't see past the Eagles. I want to see Washington do well purely because of Alex Smith and obviously Ron Rivera. But I think, as you say in America, he bought a bill of goods when he took on this head coaching job. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I think that Coach and Nick, you guys, and Pete too, you guys hit the nail on the head. Like they brought in Ron Rivera to clean this all up. Before any of this stuff happened, they hired him. And I can tell you, I've never been in an NFL locker room, and I've never been in an NFL locker room with Ron Rivera. But watching All or Nothing on Amazon, the season that they had with the Panthers, Ron Rivera is absolutely the guy for this job. Remember, he has the reputation of playing for the 85 Bears behind him, right? You literally played for the best defense probably in the history of this game. You've got that respect. You walk in a room, men, listen. Ron Rivera's there to clean it all up, everything. And they had already started this process before everything else already has started coming out. If you notice, they brought Ron Rivera in before. It's not like they brought him in after all the scandals started happening. So they brought him in earlier. As far as the roster goes, they're kind of barren. I think they have to figure out what they have to do with Dwayne Haskins. It's tough, right, Pete? Like we talked about Josh Rosen, right? Like I don't know how much of Josh Rosen's failures are the surrounding circumstances around him, and I would hate for Dwayne Haskins to be thrown to a line that really can't protect him and have his confidence shot, because the kid is a cannon. Like Dwayne Haskins has a cannon, and they have weapons now. Terry McLaurin is this guy from Ohio State. You know, they bring in Antonio Gibson. They just cut AP, which shows you what they think about Antonio Gibson, Bryce Love, Peyton Barber, J.D. McKissick, all those guys. Yes, their roster is behind and everything, but Ron Rivera is absolutely the guy to get this straightened out. The Eagles win this game. The only issue that I could see the Eagles running into is they're down some linemen. And if Chase Young comes into this game and blows this game plan up with Ryan Kerrigan, then it can get a little hairy. But the Eagles just have too much. Miles Sanders is the baller. Carson Wentz is great. You know, Alshon Jeffrey's not going to play, but Deshaun Jackson and Jalen Reagor with Zach Ertz should be fine to carry the load and get it done. And Dallas Goedert also is so slept on, honestly, with that team. Yeah, the Eagles take this one. But the Washington football team is headed right down the right path. They just need to get Daniel Snyder out of the spotlight and saying things and being a figurehead.
Yeah, so it seems as though that's pretty much a clean sweep on the Eagles. As I say, hopefully the Washington team get better as the season goes on. But yeah, I think it's no surprise that we've all chosen the Eagles on this game. Moving on to the next game, we get a chance to bring one of our friends in. He is a big Cleveland Browns fan, known as Hellhound on social media, and finally get to meet him. He's given me some good banter on Twitter. Let's bring him on. Ivan, nice to meet you, pal. How you doing?
How you doing? Nice.
There he is.
How you doing, Jason, Jeff, Pete, Nick?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I don't know where Nick is, but I've got one of his local beers here to be drinking on the show. Harvey's.
One of the Harveys.
One of the Harveys.
Yeah, it's good beer down in Lewis, mate. That Harvey's brewery is very good, and I'm pretty sure that Nick has probably got many piles of that sitting outside his house, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes.
Probably can't see that, but that's a Harvey's as well. But unfortunately, I had to step away and recharge with some other stuff. How you doing, Ivan?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate the chance to explain why the Browns are going to beat the Ravens tomorrow.
There you go, man. You set yourself up. That is spicy. That is spicy. Whoa.
That's it. This will be the third year in a row, and we'll be doing it by playing the same tactics that we did last year with the worst team. So, you know, it's quite simple with the Browns as Stefanski. They're going to be using Chubb, who destroyed the Ravens last year. You know, he got 165 yards last year against the Ravens. So just playing Chubb is going to be a big weapon in our armory. You know, tight ends, Stefanski loves tight ends. Last year, Ricky Seals-Jones did a lot of damage against the Ravens last year in last year's game. This year, you know, we've got Austin Hooper. He's got, amongst all tight ends, he got the fourth most touchdowns for tight ends last year. He's playing for us. In addition to obviously Njoku and Bryant, who we picked up in the draft. So we know our tight ends are very good. You know, offensively, I think the Browns are a better team than the Ravens. You know, again, wide receivers. Landry, 167 last year against the Ravens. OBJ, got over 1,000 yards, had a bad season, was injured. He's back. You know, we can really stretch the field. And the other interesting fact about OBJ is that he is the number one wide receiver against the blitz last year. And of course, the Ravens love blitzing. So OBJ got something like 663 yards against the blitz last year, you know, so watch out for any stretch in the field there because he can damage. So, you know, we've got a lot offensively. And the other thing I think we've got to bear in mind is the Browns were, I think, the second team. Chiefs got them beaten week 3. We beat them week 4 last year. And, you know, the teams which won't beat the Ravens got ahead early. Well, actually, in the Browns' case, it was 10-7 at half time. So we didn't really do the damage until second half. But if you get ahead against the Ravens and you force Lamar to throw, you know, Chiefs, he had 43 throws last year. Browns, 34. Postseason, when they lost the Titans, he was forced to throw 59 times. So we get ahead, and I think we can get ahead. We've got the better offense. We forced Lamar to throw, with our defense and our defensive line, it's got to be one of the best in the NFL. We've brought some run stoppers in, and people like Cole Joseph, Ronnie Harrison, Jacob Phillips, Taki Taki. These are good run stoppers. So I think stop that run with our offense, we're going to win.
Ivan, you talk a great game there, buddy, and you almost convinced me to change the quiz. So I think the Ravens are going to be winning. But unfortunately, mate, we hear this every season with the Browns. You've got good players there, mate. It just does not come together. And
we've got a new coach.
I can see the passion there, mate. I can see the passion. And I really want you boys to do us a favour by beating the Ravens. But unfortunately, mate, it's a great, comments that you've said there. It ain't happening, my friend.
Taking it 100%.
Those NFL UK fans, mate, you're on.
Ivan, have you got any questions to the?
My main question is this: AFC North is going to be a really tough division this year. So, who of those 4 teams, and really, I think, to be fair, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, 2 going to make the playoffs, and 3 going to make the playoffs. What's happening?
I think it's another division where conceptually you could see 3 teams in the playoffs because they're 3 good football teams, but on paper. But again, how many? When you have 3 good teams in the division, it's really tough because you're going to have to win at least 9 games to get to the playoffs, and you got to hope that you're going to get some breaks along the way. I think you look at that roster in Cleveland, and they have got players. Now you put the tape on last year, and I mean you can have OBJ because he had more. Actually, think about this one: he had more penalties than he had touchdowns in 2019. More penalties than touchdowns. And what were the penalties? Unnecessary roughness, offsides, mental errors, right? That guy is incredibly talented, but he is not a great football player. He's not a productive football player. Look at his history. He had 2 good years with the Giants, and since that time, his production and his numbers have gone way down. Now, he should be a 1,000-yard guy. He should be a 1,200-yard guy. He should be an 8 to 10 touchdown a year guy. He's not any of those things lately. So he's got to, he's going to have a huge advantage because you got Landry on the other side and you got him, and you're going to get all kind of single coverage because of the way they can run the ball. But he's got to perform, and that's, hype don't sell in this business, or hype don't get it done in this business. Production gets it done in this business.
For sure.
And I think that's the thing that I look at the Browns, and I want the Browns to be good. I really do. I think Kevin Stefanski's a sharp young guy, and I think he's got a great roster. Now, why have they not? They've had great rosters before and couldn't win. So I think this is a big game for the Browns, a huge statement game for the Browns, and they're not going to go against. They're not going to be scared against the Ravens because they've beaten them before.
They don't need to be. I agree. Yeah, and going back to Baker Mayfield,
they got to run the ball. I agree with you. They got to run the ball, but it's a little different Ravens team up front. I think that you look at it. Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator, learned from his first game against Cleveland, and you're right. You got to stay ahead of Lamar. You got to stay ahead on the chains against Lamar, and you got to win on first down against Lamar. If you do that, you got a chance. If he's constantly in 2nd and 4 situations, it's going to be a tough day.
Can I just comment on the Baker Mayfield one? I think the reason I didn't mention it, I don't think I need to. Baker Mayfield's an excellent quarterback. He had a bad year last year and was still a better passing quarterback than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's good. He's a good quarterback. He's good running the ball. But Baker Mayfield was better passing quarterback last year than Lamar Jackson, according to PFF. He's an outstanding player. He had bad coaching last year, and we've moved on from Freddie. We've got a good coaching staff that is a professional staff at last.
Ivan, Baker Mayfield threw only 4 more passing touchdowns than Rudolph and Duck Hodges combined. So fingers crossed you have a bit more of a productive season this year for him.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Steelers.
Ivan, it's just good fun having you on. I can see your passion for the Browns. The show let's have some picks for this game, fellas. Nick, what do you reckon?
I didn't even get to say what I wanted to say, and I'm going to lower the tone now. I think OBJ is definitely a number 2 receiver, point 1. And if everyone's seen what's been going on about Twitter, everyone will get that. Hopefully they
I get
they
it.
know what
I get it. Why do you have
Thank
to
you very much. I did have to lower the tone, obviously. I like the Browns. I think they are going to be a lot better this year with new coaching staff. Kitchens killed that team last year. Do I think they're going to beat the Ravens? I don't think so. I think Lamar, red zone. I mean, I was looking at how many touchdowns. He had 30 plus touchdowns last year, I think, something like that. Passing touchdowns, I'm talking about. Be interesting to see how Myles Garrett plays. I presume he's not banned, is he? He was only banned last season.
He's back.
He is playing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. As I say, I like the Browns, but I just don't know if it's all smoke and mirrors. It'll be interesting the first couple of weeks to see how they get on. But me, I'm Ravens. I can't see past the Ravens, unfortunately, Ivan. I do apologise.
That's all right. No, everyone said the same last year. We had the worst team. We still beat them in Baltimore.
Good for you. Coach, who are you going for?
I'm going to take Baltimore because it's in Baltimore, but I think it's going to be a close game.
For sure. Jace?
Yeah, give me Baltimore also. And just real quick, I just wanted to talk about like what happened last year, what I saw with the Browns. So yes, they were completely mismanaged with Freddie Kitchens, right? Like Baker Mayfield was never put in a position to win. But I do want to say that I saw some things that are troubling on his tape last year. For some reason, Baker Mayfield was hearing footsteps. And even when he had clean pockets, he would like float right, like move towards his right while he's trying to throw the ball. I think that what happened last year is either going to springboard him to where everybody thinks he is, because remember, he's the number 1 overall pick. But last year was really, really telling when it came down to just seeing how he moves in the pocket. His pocket awareness was a little bit lacking last year.
Is that not down to the tackles that we had?
Yeah, no, and that's what I wanted to point out too, is that what everybody's talking about, the coaching change, which they should. Stefanski's going to be great for you guys. The passing attempts are going to go down. You can see for sure that Nick Chubb, they just signed Kareem Hunt, which means they're not signing him so he can sit on the bench. They signed him because they're going to deploy both of those guys and use them to slow down the game, and that's what Stefanski wants to do. But you upgraded your line. Like, let's not act like Jack Conklin coming over is some small addition. Like, he was a big part of the reason that the Titans were so good last year. So it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see how this game plays out. I have Baltimore, but my concerns lie less with the coaching now, because that's all settled down now because Stefanski can do it. But the Baker Mayfield thing, I need to see that next step, because for me, last year, what I saw was a bit of regression, and that's not what you want to see in your second year starting.
Okay, so you're going for the Ravens, Jace, yeah?
Yeah, got the Ravens. But thank you for coming on, and I do think that I love the Browns roster for sure. They're going to run a lot of 2 tight ends, Austin Hooper and Njoku at the same time. Basically, what you saw last year with Minnesota, you're going to see a lot of here in Cleveland when Stefanski comes in and he takes over. He just announced himself as the play caller as well, too. So that's going to be what you should be looking at.
Good call.
Before you go, Ivan, in true NFL game day morning style, you got a lone wolf it.
I've got to do what?
Have you not watched Game Day Morning?
No.
Where you get the only person, they go, oh.
Come on, you got a lone wolf.
I'll do it.
You are the lone wolf. You're the only one, I'm guessing, picking your team.
As much as I want the Browns to win, the Ravens take this one, unfortunately. But Ivan, thanks for the banter on Twitter, mate. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Ivan, you're the man. You're the man.
Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Again, thanks for supporting us, buddy. We really appreciate
No problem.
We do appreciate you, definitely, Ivan.
Thank you.
We're going to jump on to a later game, just as we've got a guest that's going to be joining us for the Niners game. He's a good friend of ours. We'll go back to the other games sort of briefly afterwards, but I think this particular guest, Mark, has possibly got to sort of shoot off, so we're going to get him in early before he goes. He's a good friend of ours. He enjoys giving me big banter. On Twitter. Mark Anderson. He's a good lad.
Go.
There he is, Mark. I like that
Let's
jersey, Mark.
go.
Hey, how you doing, chaps? You all right?
Yeah, we
I
were
like
doing
that
good.
jersey.
Good. Fantastic that, the show's on and 49ers are back, aren't they? And let's face it, we've got to beat the Cardinals, haven't we? Yeah, it's got to happen. It's going to be a close game. I really do think it's going to be a close game, yeah? If you think about it last year, they made Garoppolo throw, yeah? Didn't they? They made him throw. They made him throw the ball. You look at that, probably about, 700 yards plus?
Yep.
And 49ers game is the run game.
Yep.
So for me, if you're thinking about where we are now, and we've got a wide receiver problem, unfortunately Samuel, he's probably going to be injured now, and he caught 12 passes against Cardinals last season.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. So we've got to kind of work our way around this one. They're talking about 2 tight ends. I think Kittle's going to be massive in this game. Yeah, I think it's going to be short burst. And what's been really impressive that the Cardinals did last time, you look at there, for example, what they did in their offense, they would spread it, made our defense spread, and they found the gaps. And so I honestly believe this is going to be quite a tight game. It's going to be an exciting game because I think probably everyone's going to be watching the other game on. But let's face it, this is going to be a good game. I think some good points involved in there. And I think Murray's going to have a great game. But do not go against Garoppolo, yeah? I think a lot of people have a go at Garoppolo, yeah? They say he can't throw the ball. That boy can throw the ball, yeah? He's been back up to Brady, yeah? He's learned a lot from Brady. He will throw the ball when it's needed, yeah? So, look, it's going to be a tight game. Niners going to win, yeah? I think it's going to be tight end. It's going to be key for this game, and we will do it. We will do this one. It's going to be basically closer than the season, so I don't know what you guys think of that.
Mark, I love the jersey, man, and I agree with almost everything that you said. I'm sorry if I didn't mean to cut anybody off. If you guys were gonna, but here's what I noticed when we played them last year, right? When in week one, not in week one, the first game, Kyle Juszczyk wasn't there. George Kittle got hurt on the first offensive play of the game. D Ford left that game. Quan Alexander tore his pec. All those things happened in the first game. All those things happened, and Deebo Samuel wasn't fully up to speed. Right? Like, I rewatched that game and I saw a guy who was still not understanding the timing of his route just yet, because halfway through the season, Deebo Samuel turned it on because he finally figured everything out, which should give you a little bit of concern about Brandon Ayuk, right? Not having much camp, but playing. I have a feeling he's going to play, and the 2 tight end thing is so understated. So Grant Cohn jumped on Niners All Day with us, and he's jumping on today. We're doing a full game preview if you guys want to check it out too, with all film and all that stuff today. But he gave us a tidbit from camp. 3rd down, red zone, all those areas, anywhere in between the 20s, that's where Jordan Reed is going to come in and live. And this game, for sure, with the deficiencies with the wide receivers, with Deebo being out, with Ayuk not being up to speed, with possibly having to start Kendrick Bourne and Dante Pettis, this game is a big George Kittle and Jordan Reed game. George Kittle knocked on the door and asked for money. Now the 49ers are going to look at him and say, take us to the promised land this week while we're waiting for all of our guys to get healthy. I've got the 49ers in a close one also here with no surprise. Kyler Murray is going to give us fits. Those guys run the ball well against us because the air raid spreads out the box. There's only 2 or 3 linebackers that you can keep in there. And if they're going through their slice blocks properly, Kenyon Drake was killing us with all those moves. So it's going to be a great game. I'm more afraid of Arizona than I am any team in the NFC West at this point. I think we know who Seattle is. We know who the Rams are. I don't know who the Cardinals are yet because they've given us so many fits with this deficient roster that they had last year, and now they've added to it. So if they take another step, it can get scary for the 49ers going forward.
And don't forget Trent Williams as well. I think he's going to have a big game, yeah? I mean,
best offensive tackle in the league. Left tackle, honestly, for me.
Yeah.
Coach, what do you think of the Niners zona game?
Well, I think the Niners have a better roster. I agree that I'm a little concerned about their receiver position. But, if you look at it, really their receiver position is if they're playing good football, which means they're running the outside zone and they're doing, the things that they do well, blocking on the line of scrimmage. The wide receivers they just have to not screw it up. They have to just not drop the ball or have one clang off their hands and get picked. It's interesting. I think Shanahan is one of the better play callers in the National Football League. When you watch him, he really understands how to attack defenses. On the other side of the football, Vance Joseph from Arizona, he's a kid that played for me, so I love him to death, but they got to get better on defense. And, you know, you look at Chandler Jones, one of the best pass rushers in the league, Budda Baker, great safety they just paid, and they got that Isaiah Simmons kid that's such a great athlete coming in there. They got to get better on defense because they're going to score some points offensively, and obviously with Hopkins, they're going to be better. They still have Larry Fitz, and I'm not 100% sold on the quarterback yet. I think there's a little too much of what we saw in Baker Mayfield in him. And again, I think where did both those guys play their senior years of college football, and that's at Oklahoma. And that's, you know, I think that's just kind of what you get with guys who played in that offense. They don't really understand pocket presence. They don't, you know, they're not full field read guys. So I believe that, you know, that the 49ers will have the answer for them. I really do. I think the 49ers up front are just too doggone good up front. Now, Arizona got better in the offseason, signing some people and bringing, you know, Kelvin Beachum in and people like that. But obviously, I don't know if it's significant enough for them to beat the 49ers. 49ers are a good football team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these guys obviously know a lot more about this team and this division than I do. But for me, obviously, rookie of the year, or certainly young, sort of offensive rookie of the year, Kyler Murray. They've got some weapons there. They brought D-Hop in, you know, having two quality receivers. You know, they're giving him the weapons that he needs to progress. Whether he can use them and take them to that next level, I don't know. But you know, they were bottom of the division last year for a reason. Whether they're going to progress significantly enough to get up that division, I really don't think so. The Niners, are they going to have a Super Bowl hangover? I don't think so. I think they're too strong. I think their roster is too strong. Again, I think I'm expecting big things from San Francisco this year. The fact that it's at Levi Stadium as well is a thing.
Maybe, Pete, maybe. Because right now, I don't know if you guys are aware of what's going on right now in California with the wildfires, but the air quality index yesterday was above 200, and that's not safe for anybody to play football in. So it's going to be like a sort of a game day decision whether this is going to happen right now in Levi's, or maybe they'll shift it to Monday and then put it in Arizona and then flip when they play again. But yeah, I mean, fingers crossed, because the 49ers fans, we've been dying for this game. And if it gets pushed back even a day, I would hate to see what's going to look like on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, I would assume Nick would want something to say on this game, but he's disappeared. He's obviously, you know, needed a pee where he was so excited to talk about the Niners, and he's obviously sort of gone running off. But Mark, obviously you are big on the Niners. Fingers crossed the game does go ahead in Santa Clara. I'm assuming you are all in on the Niners this year. They're going back to the big dance, or what?
Of course. I think the 49ers, I think a lot of people, the media, they put a down on the 49ers, yeah? They put a down on Garoppolo. I'll tell you what. But I tell you, looking at our defense will get you to a Super Bowl, yeah? Because they can't score points against you. You can't win games. And our defense is the business. Bosa will be the main man this year. And I tell you what, we will get to the Super Bowl.
Hope so, Claire. I don't think if I have to sit through another gut-wrenching 49ers Super Bowl loss, I'm going to lose 12 more years off my life instantly. So if they get back, they got to get it done. I want to see them play the Chiefs, but that's not like an easy thing. Like, it's not like I just feel like I think we can take them down. But there is rumors, Pete, and remember, you talked about this the last time. People are saying that they're picking the Steelers to face the 49ers in the Super Bowl, and just for the sheer banter between you and Nick, I want that to happen. I need that to happen.
There's a lot of people that sort of hope that's going to happen, especially me. But the thing is, I have to put up with the guy Monday morning. So for me last season, it was quite nice, the fact that he was actually coming in with a W and he had a big smile on his face. Previous seasons, he's come in like a miserable old fart, and it's not nice to put up with working with him on a Monday morning. So fingers crossed he has another good season. Go all the way to the Super Bowl, but the Steelers knock them down a peg or two. I don't know where he's gone. I thought he would have been all in on this.
Yeah, this is it right here, right? Like this was the one.
He's totally left me hanging. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can come back. We can get his thoughts when he comes back. But let's just go around the horn briefly. Coach, who are you picking for this game?
Picking the Niners.
Picking the Niners. Jace?
Niners 31-27.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've gone for the Niners on this one. Mark, I'm guessing you're going for your boys?
Of course. Definitely Niners all the way.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, I've seen Nick's pick. He has chosen Arizona. So, yeah, what we'll do, obviously, are you going, Mark? Are you off, or do you want to hang around for a little bit?
I'll meet with you guys to be honest. Yeah, if you want. Yeah, I'm always happy to.
We might be losing Jace just in a little bit. I thought this would happen. I knew that the sort of games would end up sort of taking long, and we'd end up sort of spending a bit more time talking about them. So I do apologise, guys, that it's taken a little while. I mean, before we go on, are you guys all right for time? Jason, I know you've got to go. Jeff, I mean, I know time is of the essence. Are you still cool for the time being, or do we need to cut this short?
No, I'm fine. We're hanging there I got about 30 more minutes.
Thanks, brother. Okay, no worries. Jace, you got 20?
Yeah, I got 20 more for you. It's, just so much going on right now. We gotta get everything prepared. So yeah.
Right. Well, what we'll try and do then, we'll try and sort of fly through the other games. Mark, if you want to just hang around for a bit, we'll just sort of go through the game sort of quickly. Sure. We did miss out on the Dolphins-Patriots game. I think everyone's sort of obviously quite interested to see what the Patriots are going to be doing this season. Can Belichick do it without Brady? Is Cam Newton going to be as good as what he was a few years back? I know, again, listening to Inside the Huddle, Coach wasn't sort of too sure about Cam Newton for this year. But yeah, I mean, Coach, what do you think is going to be happening in this Dolphins-Patriots game?
Well, I think a lot of it depends on which Cam Newton we get. Do we get the guy that, was the MVP of the league, or do we get the guy that the last 2 years you've watched his entire throwing mechanics have changed because of shoulder injuries? He's had foot injuries. It's really too bad because, he took so many hits when he was in Carolina, and every football player has a definitive hit number, a hit count, how many you can take before it just takes too much of a toll on your body. I know he had a great offseason. He worked out extremely hard. I think it'll be truly interesting to me as a football coach to see what Josh McDaniels and Belichick do with him. I worry if I was a Patriots fan, I'd worry about what he has around him because, they've had just too many changes. You lose an offensive lineman to the opt-out. You lose a tight end, and they were short on tight ends anyway. You lose a tight end to the opt-out. Sony Michel's nicked up. But the one thing I can tell you about the Patriots, they'll do whatever they need to do, and I mean whatever they need to do to give themselves a chance. Yeah. And defensively, you're talking about some serious losses too, because you lose guys in free agency. You lose your two linebackers inside in free agency. You lose Danny Shelton in free agency. You have opt-outs at every level of the defense. And Patrick Chung is not a guy that we talk about in the Jamal Adams, category, but Patrick Chung's one of those rare safeties that can go down in the slot and play man-to-man, and he gives them a lot of flexibility in the back end. So, you just don't know what you're going to get out of the Patriots. And I think Miami is so much better personnel-wise. And, they went up into New England last year at the end of the year when New England really needed to win the football game. They needed to win that game, too. So I'm sure that, that they know they can play up there. I just until I see Miami, I'm going to hold on this one. I wouldn't touch this game either. This is one of those ones I'd never bet.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Jace?
Yeah, so Coach nailed it. I mean, the opt-outs, it shouldn't be understated. Hightower, Patrick Chung. Patrick Chung is the one that really stands out to me. So Aqib Talib just recently retired, right? Was it yesterday or the day before? Was it something like that? Aqib Talib went on his podcast and said that Bill Belichick called him and wanted him to play for the Patriots this year. He wanted him to primarily just cover tight ends. Those are words out of his mouth. That should let you know right there that Bill Belichick understands the deficiency of this defense, and he's trying to prepare to scheme around it. I think what we're going to get from Cam is what's going to be really important, but I also am a little concerned with his weapons, just like Coach said. N'Keal Harry is largely improvement. Julian Edelman is who he is, but he has rapport with Brady. Can he find that with Cam? The running game, Sony Michel's nicked up. Damian Harrison's on IR. James White seems to be like the one running back that they actually can lean on because of the trust factor. Belichick, if he doesn't trust you, you're not going to be on the field. Expect James White on the field a lot. I think that he can be like a poor man's Christian McCaffrey for Cam Newton. What I mean by that is, I don't mean skill wise. I mean dump offs, sort of running routes and things like that. That's where Cam's going to live. And I think that James White's going to have an impact on this game. Miami did improve their team everywhere. Line, defense, draft, everything, right? And last year they did go in there and they did beat the Patriots in a must-win game for the Patriots. The Patriots were trying to get home field throughout the entire year. And the Dolphins went up there and whipped them. Devontae Parker whipped Stephon Gilmore. Preston Williams is back. Mike Gesicki had a big game. Mike Gesicki is going to be the guy who probably is going to have the most impact in this game because they don't have anybody that can probably cover him. And if he's going to be running out of the slot with Preston Wilson on one side and Devontae Parker on the other side, he's going to give them some matchup problems. If I had to choose, I am not going to bet against Bill Belichick. I still have the Patriots in this game. But Miami is so revamped and they're so interesting going into this year. I can't wait to see how they're going to come out.
Think about it, Pete. Last year, there was absolutely no way. Miami couldn't run the ball the length of their arm. And so you really only had to defend one aspect of the game last year. Now, they've gone out and improved themselves at that position, and I think in the offensive line too, although it may take a couple years before that really shows in that offensive line. But if they can at least have a semblance of a running game, I mean, they don't have to run for 100 yards, but if they can run for 50 to 80, and then make you defend the run a little bit, then they become a much more dangerous team. Because like you said, they've got some weapons outside. And Fitz, we all know who Fitz is. He's a riverboat gambler, gunslinger. He's going to make throws and he's going to give some up. But he's not, the one thing is Belichick's going to have a hard time fooling him. He's not a raw rookie. He's a guy that's seen it and seen it all. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah, Jordan Howard and Breida are low-key additions.
It's definitely this season.
Jordan Howard and Breida are low-key additions to this team as well because they both fill roles perfectly. Like Jordan Howard is the in between the tackles goal line guy, and Breida is the pass running back. So yeah, they are adding it. Remember, last year their starting running back week 1 wasn't Kenyon Drake; it was Kalen Ballage.
Hey, well, all you need to know about the running game is who was the leading rusher for the Dolphins last year?
Fitzpatrick
at whatever 42 years old or 41 years old, and he can't run out of his shadow, and he was their leading rusher last year. So if they can develop a running game, they got a chance.
Yeah, and Brian Flores is doing a great job of changing the culture out there too. Like he's bringing that Patriot attitude over there, and they're building something. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but I really like the way this Dolphins team is headed.
Yeah. Yep. Nick, it's nice of you to have you back on the show, mate. I know that we were talking about the most boring game of the weekend, but you didn't have to leave us on that one, mate. But
that's still messed up.
Yeah, we did tell everybody that you picked Arizona as well. So when you watch this back, you're going to be absolutely seething, and it's the best.
Well,
it's the best.
Unfortunately, as you know, I do have a very old dog, and she just had a bit of a seizure, and of course there was a bit of panic in the house, which is why I literally had to just cut off everything and go in and spend a bit of time in there with her. I've calmed her down.
I hope Molly, the 49ers dog, is doing well.
Molly, the 49ers dog. Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers, obviously, without question. It's going to give us fits, the game, but yeah, I reckon the Niners are going to do okay. On this game, I'm going Dolphins. I think with the players that the Patriots have lost on defense, and the fact that obviously Gronk's not there, and the so-called GOAT, although everyone knows it's Montana, has gone. Yeah, I like the Dolphins. I think Flores has done a good job. He's brought in some good players. I love Fitzmagic. I think he's one of the funnest QBs to watch. So I'm going to go Dolphins.
Cool. Mark, who you got in this one, mate?
This was a tough one. I mean, I'm excited for the Dolphins, yeah? I think they did a great draft. And I'm really, for the future, I think they're looking great. Heart, Dolphins. But I think, as Claire the Bear said earlier, the head's going, Pat. Got to be, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like I say, I think this is a chance to go wire to wire for the Dolphins to beat the Patriots. Doesn't come around that often. this is the time to beat them. Early doors, a lot of key things missing in the Patriots. And I'm with Nick. I'm going the Dolphins on this one. Again, as everyone knows, I am crap at doing predictions, so they'll probably get absolutely smashed by the Patriots. But
Another kiss of death from Pete. Don't pick the same as me.
I feel better now, Pete. Thanks.
We were going to have a guest on for the Colts Jags game. Would have been Robson from Jags GB. Jags across the pond. Unfortunately, he's not feeling very well today. Hopefully, he's watching. Robson, you get well soon, buddy. I know you wanted to come on here and speak with the guys, but next time, mate. But we'll still talk Colts Jags. That's the next game up. TIAA, Bankfield, and Jacksonville, Florida. I believe this is one of the stadiums that is going to have fans in. If they're anything like they were at Arrowhead, and I thought that them fans did really well to sort of create an atmosphere there. If the Jags can do that, then at least it's sort of going to be pretty cool for the players on the field. But an interesting one. I'm not buying on this sort of this Colts team with Rivers coming in. Defoe's coming in. He's a great player, but I still don't see the Colts doing as well as a lot of people are saying.
Wow.
Yeah, and for me, obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about this game, fellas. I'm expecting them to beat the Jags, but I'm just not all expecting the Colts to sort of do big things in the division. But yeah, for me, the Colts will win this one pretty convincingly, but I'm not all in on them for the rest of the season. Don't know. Jace, what are you thinking?
So I mean, I have the Colts in this game, but I really am actually kind of big on the Colts. I mean, think about this. They have a great coach. Frank Reich knows how to put his guys in spots to win. They have a dog of an offensive line. Quentin Nelson is a joy to watch on film. Watch him maul giant men. And, they have Jonathan Taylor and Marlon Mack. They have enough to run the ball. You're not going to get touched 4 yards until 4 yards, pretty much. T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman, Jack Doyle. Now, it all just hinges on if Phillip Rivers is a turnover machine, then it all goes in the basement. But the defense is improved. DeForest Buckner's there. Darius Leonard is incredible. Like, the Colts are primed right now for a good run, and this move of bringing in Phillip Rivers is pretty much an all-in move. But remember, T.Y. Hilton's 31, breaking down fast. Their window for them to make noise this year is pretty small, so they have to make sure that this happens this year. I actually think that the Colts are probably going to win their division. Just based on that offensive line, what they want to do, and the defense, and I know Frank Reich is going to scheme them up well. I'm really excited to watch the Colts play football this year, and I think that they run away with this game against the Jags. Run away with it.
Sure, Jeff.
I agree. This is a lock game. I feel sorry for Jacksonville and Jacksonville fans. Mr. Khan, I think, is a good owner. Obviously, they're the most active of anybody in building a fan base in the UK. But just too much turmoil, too many coordinators been through there, too many changes of direction about which way they want to go. Here they are, a team that was, one corner route away from going to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and now they're in complete rebuild. You lose Ngakoue, you lose Calais Campbell, you lose all the players they've lost over the last 3 years. It's tough to watch, and it's tough to watch for the fans, and it's tough to watch for the ownership. I just think they're not in a very good place. And I think the Colts, on the other hand, Chris Ballard, the general manager, has done an unbelievable job of building that roster. Now, I agree with Jason in that I love Phillip Rivers, but I love the Phillip Rivers of 6 or 8 years ago. I didn't love what I saw last year. He can't move at all anymore. As a matter of fact, to the point where they can't run the stretch play last year in San Diego or in LA because he can't move well enough anymore to get to the edge. They have to toss it to get it on the corner. And I think his movement skills have, while never been great, are really limited now with age. Way too many interceptions last year. But they're good enough on defense to beat anybody that they play. And it's going to come down to don't turn it over, that's never been Phillip's style of play. He's always been kind of a jam it in there, I'll make a play kind of guy. Now, he's a great leader. He'll bring a lot to him that way. But I would be worried about them. Are they good enough at the quarterback position to be a Super Bowl team? But I think they're certainly good enough to beat Jacksonville.
Yeah, for sure. Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because obviously, as everyone said, Rivers has got the best offensive line he's had for 7-8 years, maybe. If he can reproduce, as Jeff said, the old Philip Rivers, then I think it's going to be a long, long day for the Jaguars. I'm not convinced after last year, again, as Jeff said, has he still got it? We're soon going to find out. I know Jason's got to hop off.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I would love to stay on here with you guys all day. Jeff, honored to speak with you. A former coach. This was a blast. I'm gonna follow you on Twitter as soon as I get off of here. Pete, let's go Steelers. That suit is incredible, man. Nick and Mark, bang bang, Niner gang.
No.
I'll see you guys. Thank you guys so much.
All right, Jason, thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Have a nice day.
Speak to you later, fam.
All right.
Yeah, I think we knew this was going to happen, Nick, didn't we? We're sort of talking about so many games and having so many guests on, but it was just the opening weekend. There was just so much to sort of talk about, people wanting to get involved. We'll quickly sort of do the sort of a final rundown on all the games. We'll try and sort of shift for them super quick so everybody can get away. Just Mark, just quickly, what are you going on the Colts-Jags game, buddy?
Colts have got to be all the way, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think we're all sort of pretty big on the Colts on this.
Definitely.
Indeed. Okay, then we've got at the Paul Brown Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio. You've got the Chargers and Bengals. For me, again, I think the Bengals are going to suck. I think Joe Burrow coming in there, number one in the draft. He's going to make an ever so small difference. It's too early to tell with a weird off season. Still hasn't got many weapons down there. AJ Green hasn't caught an NFL pass in over a year. It's going to be a struggle for him. I like what I see from the Chargers. I think Tyrod Taylor's going to be. I think he's going to be in there all season. I think he's going to have a really good season. Their defense is solid. So for me, this is the Chargers. Jeff?
I agree. I think it's a Chargers game. You look at Tyrod Taylor's history. One thing you can say that he does is he protects the football, and I think that's the way they think. That's their. I think that's their formula to win games. Obviously, he does have some players around him. Their offensive line has improved. Defensively, they'll be a handful for anybody, and they got great kicking game. So I think that's way too many weapons on one side and not enough on the other. So I'm going to take the Chargers.
Yeah, cool. Nick?
Yeah, I'm going Chargers. I liked him on Hard Knocks. I like Anthony Lynn. I think he's quite switched on. I'm not sold on Tyrod Taylor. I think we will see the kid Herbert at some stage because I think we need to see what he's got. I don't think they're going to go into the playoffs, so it'll be interesting. They may go 8-8, whatever. But yeah, I think I'm interested to see Joe Burrow because, again, and I know it's a lot of fluff coming out of training camp. He's throwing bombs, he's doing this, he's doing that, but he's not facing. When you're playing against your number one defense, they're not going to try and kill you like the Chargers are going to come up. So it'll be interesting to see Joe Burrow, but yeah, Chargers for me. Mark?
Chargers. I mean, I love Burrow. I think, he had a great season at LSU last season, but it's a different ball game in the NFL, isn't it? The National League is where suddenly doesn't happen, isn't it? And that's the difference. And, Manning said it brilliantly when he came into the NFL, didn't he? He had a few interceptions to start with, and he said, look, I didn't see the pass. And the coaches are going, the pass was there, but fine. It's not going to be the same as when you're at college football. So I think Burrow's got a lot to learn. I think the exciting prospect will improve him, but I'm afraid we're going to have to go against him in this one.
Yeah. Bosa's got his contract, and I think we're going to see him having a big game against the Bengals. So it looks like it was a bit of a clean sweep on the Bengals, that one then, guys, yeah? Oh, sorry, on the Chargers.
Yep.
Get it right, Pete. Come on. I know it's been 2 hours, but come on.
Sorry, it's not going to be very often I get to talk about Cincinnati, so I thought I'd just drop their name in once more, give them a little bit of a false hope. This, obviously, the next game we're going to be talking about, the Bucs Saints, and this is a real game that I think the neutral is going to be really wanting to see. It may be a little bit too early to see exactly what we're going to get out of Tampa. I think we already know what we're going to get out of the Saints there. They're going to be pushing hard, but I know for the neutral fan, they're going to be following Tampa and the weapons they've put around TB12. Bruce Arians' team, it's going to be a real interesting season to watch. Jeff, are they going to tank, or are they going to be a real good team this year?
I think the Bucks will be one of the teams that when we're in November and when I'm back in London and we're talking to, they'll be one of the teams we're talking about as a playoff football team. I don't know. Again, you got an awful lot of moving parts, a lot of new guys in that offense, obviously extremely talented, but how are those guys going to all accept their roles? I mean, you take a guy like Cameron Brate, who's gone from being the tight end to now being the third team tight end. AJ Howard's now a role player at tight end. Gronk, what's his health going to dictate? I think they have a lot of things that they'll figure out along the way. And, again, I heard Brady say this the other day, and I thought it was, something that you don't hear anybody talk about. You got to remember, he's done it one way with one playbook, one language, one group of audibles, one group, he said himself that there are times he goes to the line of scrimmage and the first thing that pops into his mind is the play he wants, but it's in New England terminology. And he has to catch himself at the line and go, oh yeah, it's called this here, right? So I think that's part of the growing that they're going to do during the course of the season. I think the Saints were really smart when they went out and got Emmanuel Sanders in the offseason, because it gives Breeze a weapon on the other side. Michael Thomas, you look at the unbelievable numbers that he puts up, and he was doing it really without much help around him. I mean, they're pushing the coverage to him all the time, and he's still finding ways to get open. This is the thing that bothers me, I guess, a little bit about the NFL sometimes, because Michael Thomas doesn't pop off, and because Michael Thomas isn't a diva. He's like Larry Fitzgerald. They don't get the credit that they deserve. And you ask people about Michael Thomas, and they go, "Yeah, he's a great receiver." And you ask people about that guy in Cleveland who caught four? I don't know what he caught last year. Wasn't very many. And everybody says, "Oh, he's the greatest thing ever." Let's base it on production. Let's not base it on hype. And if you base it on production, Michael Thomas is as good as a receiver as there is in this league. Now you've got Emmanuel Sanders, and you've got Kamara, and you've got an offensive line, and you got a defense that has players at every level. I really think the Saints, unless they screw it up or get hurt, I think the Saints will win the NFC. I think they'll be the NFC champion.
Yeah. It's a real strong team there. It's going to be really hard to sort of ever pick against them this season. They're going to be strong. They're going to be sort of going all the way. But again, we've said it's the last couple of seasons, and they've just fallen a little bit short. Another, aging breather. Another sort of really interesting sort of matchup in this game is the fact that you've got two NFL quarterbacks jostling all season for the most NFL passing touchdowns of all time. So that's going to be an interesting sort of little side burner to sort of watch between Brady and Breeze. So that's going to be fun. Nick, what are you calling on this game?
I want to go a tie, but I can't. Do you know what? And I said this when we did our first show, Pete. I honestly think the Bucks are all smoke and mirrors, and it's going to be, I don't know. I don't buy into the Buccaneers hype just because they've got Brady and Gronk. And I agree with Coach. They've got to fit all those weapons in this offense, and that I think is going to be a problem, because if you're not giving Godwin or Evans or the tight ends the ball, there's going to be a bit of unrest behind the scenes, I think, because they got so many stars, and that's kind of the issue.
Yeah, if they're winning games, are they though? If they're winning games, I don't know.
Yeah, but Jeff, talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
You've been around teams. You've got a star player as Gronk.
Yeah.
What happens if Gronk isn't getting the passes and they're going to OJ Howard, or he's getting wide open and Brady doesn't go to him, he goes to the outside? Surely at some point, if we're 6 or 7 games in and he's done nothing, there's got to be some unrest there, right?
Well, there can be. And certainly I think the first thing is, does the team have success? If the team's having success, it's harder to at least vocalize the fact that you're frustrated, because it doesn't come off good. I think Gronk's a unique guy because, his body was so beat up, he stepped away from football for a year. I think having that year off has helped him heal. I looked at him the other day, a picture of him. He's in better shape than he was in New England the last years. And I think he understands for him and for the team, the best situation for him is to be kind of a situational guy. Now, will Howard accept that role? Will Brady accept that role? I think a lot depends on, we'll have to see. It's interesting to me when we talk about Brady, because if you evaluated Brady's film last year, what you saw out of Brady were some things that you hadn't seen previous. He feels the rush much more now than he did early in his career. And that's natural because you've been hit so many times over 14 years or whatever it is in the league. And then he did not throw. I won't say he couldn't, but he did not throw the ball outside the numbers at all. And so until you show a defensive coordinator that you can throw a certain throw, they're going to build the coverage to take away what you're doing. So if all the balls are in the middle of the field, you'll see him saturate the middle of the field with zones and make it tough on him. You got to be able to rush him from inside. And I think a lot remains to be seen. I think the Saints are just a better football team right now and have continuity. And that's a huge advantage when you didn't have OTAs and you don't have training camp and training camp games and all of that. So it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been a big thing that people like you said in the know, Jeff, that continuity and stability and within a franchise is going to be key this season. It's interesting to hear people like you constantly saying that it's going to be a big thing this year.
Yeah. Well, it's just
the other thing. Sorry, Jeff.
I'm telling you, the pressures of a pro football season are intense, and when you're with guys for the first time, it takes a while. And we saw this last year in Kansas City with Steve Spagnuolo. He came in and he didn't know those defensive guys. He'd never worked with them. And it took him about till week 6 before he really figured out, oh, man, what am I doing? I've got Tyrann Mathieu being my high player, and I'm dropping Daniel Sorensen into the box. And, we're an average defense. Then he made the switch when he learned his personnel better. And all of a sudden they became the best defense in football for the last 6 weeks of the season. So I think it's going to take Bruce a while before he gets a sense of what he actually has too.
I think the interesting thing about New Orleans as well is Breeze, I think, has lost his deep ball, or he certainly lost the touch on his deep ball. And I noticed, and I only kind of really watched them, obviously, hard against when they played the Niners. And that defense and that pass rush couldn't get to Breeze because, I don't know, it was under 2 seconds and they're running slants and intermediates and stuff and getting it underneath and they were gone. So it will be interesting to see if this Buccaneers defense can actually get some pressure and they can hold the pocket up so he can try and throw it deep. That's quite an interesting thing for me. As I say, I don't think Breeze has got that deep ball anymore, Jeff.
Well, as you look at it and you say, okay, where's the strength of Tampa's pass rush? It's on the edge. And you mentioned something as a good observation. In the offense that the Saints run, the ball's out of his hands real fast. I mean, real fast. And he knows where to go. Breeze prepares so great. This is 2 of the best preparation quarterbacks in the history of the National Football League playing against each other. It's very, very hard to fool Breeze, real hard. And Brady the same way. So the reason it's hard to hit Breeze is, number one, he's got a good offensive line. Number 2, he always knows where to go with the ball. And one of the things I heard June Jones say to every quarterback we ever had, and that, you go back and he's coached 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, is always know where to go with the ball fast. And that's exactly Drew Brees. So again, the only worry, to be honest with you, I have about the Saints is that the Saints have a tendency to outsmart themselves sometimes. And, they haven't been able to close a couple games out that have cost them Super Bowls. That team should have 2 or 3 Super Bowl rings right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. Mark, do you want to jump in on this one? Well,
I do really do like the Saints. I tell you, but the one thing that the Bucs have a chance with, no fans. How many times you heard, the fans in there, you can't hear the play calls. No fans. Could be an opportunity for a lot of teams until obviously fans get in there, could have a chance, because that is, been a massive for that team. And while I love the Saints, I think Saints will win this game. Just the Bucks will have a chance because there's potential, clear quantities of what's going on and how the plays could be made. And I think
I think too for the Bucks, I think Ndamukong Suh is a big key, because he's a guy that when his motor's running, he can be a dominant inside pass rusher. And that's where Breeze and Brady both will struggle at times, is if they get pressure right up on him. Breeze is my size. He's not very big. He's 5'11". They say he's 6 feet. He's not 6 feet because I've stood next to him. And it's what he struggles with is when there's hands and pressure inside on him. He's smart enough to know that he's got to slide up in the pocket and stay away from the outside rushers, and that's Tampa's strength, is their outside rushers.
Good shout. So anyone going for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game then? No. It's clean sweep on the Saints. Right, 3 last games to go. We're going to rush through these last 3 guys because we all want to get away and see Dirty Leeds beat Liverpool. Right. Cowboys Rams, interesting. And Cowboys, a lot of people are big on the Cowboys this year. I'm not too sure what we're going to get out of them. Obviously massive on offense. They seem sort of pretty good on defense as well. I'm not too sure what we're going to get from the Cowboys. Rams, potential to possibly improve on last year as well, but a real horrible division with the Niners, Seahawks, and Zona. I'm going with the Cowboys in this game against the Rams. But again, very tricky call, this one. Again, Coach, what are you thinking?
I think it's interesting. Mike McCarthy might have as good offensive personnel as he's ever had around him. I'm talking about the whole group, offensive line, running back, the whole group. Now, he's had some unbelievable quarterbacks. And I think to be honest with you, I think Dak is a quarterback that doesn't get the positive respect he deserves. So I think the Dallas is going to score a lot of points. The question is, Mike Nolan's defense over on the other side, do they have enough players? And you go out and lose Gerald McCoy, a great inside pass rusher, right before the season starts, and now you're replacing him with Noel Gallimore, a rookie, from Oklahoma that they drafted. I just don't know if they're going to get enough stops in Dallas to win games. I would think that the Rams are going to come out and they're going to get in 11 personnel and 2 tight ends, and they're going to run right at Dallas and see, because the Cowboys are built when in the Jason Garrett era, they were built about being not real big on the defensive lines, and just being rush up the field. And they got linebackers who are Ole guys. They're not, Sean Lee would step up in there, but Smith and that linebacking core, they're great sideline to sideline, but I think they have challenges when you run right at them. So it'll be interesting to see what Los Angeles does. And if Los Angeles can get the running game going, then Goff's a good quarterback. But when he has to throw, and it's 3rd and 10, and he has to throw out of the pocket, and he has to, it's not the same guy. So if they can get their running game going, they can beat Dallas. But I just think that that's a tall order.
Indeed, it's a shame that SoFi Stadium's not going to have fans in there, because it would have been great to have seen the opening game of the season in that terrific sports complex. It would have been great to have seen it in all its glory, but hopefully soon. Nick, what are you thinking on this one, mate?
SoFi Stadium, not the SoFi Stadium. Come on, let's get it right.
Well, SoFi, but they
Rams.
SoFi.
Rams are going to finish 4th in the NFC West. To me, I think McVay is going to get found out this year. They've mortgaged again on signing Jalen Ramsey. They're trying to go win now mode. We all saw what Goff was like, as Jeff said, under pressure. You put Goff under pressure, forget it. He's like Bambi on ice. He can't do it. Next year is going to be the telling thing for them, because they got all these players they got to pay, and they've got to win now. And I just can't see it. I think Zona are better than them. I think the Sea Chickens are better. I know the Niners are better. And whilst I'm not sold on the Cowboys, I just can't see the Rams beating the Cowboys. I just can't. They've got a solid running game. The Cowboys, obviously, they've got some great receivers. The defense could be a bit frisky. For me, Cowboys.
Yeah. How about you, Mark?
Cowboys all the way. The Rams went all in, didn't they, last year towards the end? Didn't pay off. I think Cowboys will win this one. And let's face it, we don't want the Rams winning, do we? It's our division.
Well, you don't want the Cowboys to win either, though, surely, do you, boys?
Oh, we'll worry about them later. That's fine.
Yeah, we worry about them a few weeks down the line. We're not worried about that.
So does that Cowboys clean sweep again, or did anyone pick it around?
You're going Cowboys as well, Pete, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going Cowboys.
Yeah, it's a Rams win then, isn't it? Can we change our minds?
Yeah, exactly. Right, we're now going to move on to Pete's team.
Biggest game of the week.
Steelers at Big Blue, the New York Giants. Pete, lead us off with this one.
Mate, I feel sorry for the G-men in this game, mate, because I feel that it's going to get
G-men.
I've even said to you that there's potential for them to get a big fat bagel on their scorecard, because I fear for him. If it wasn't for Barkley, I seriously think that we would shut him out. The defense is so good. Cam's got his contract at last, which I'm over the moon for. We've just got players galore on the defense, and the Giants are just going to get shut down. I can't wait to see them on the field and following them all pre-season. The Giants have got a few rookies in there. Daniel Jones, I'm still not too sure about. I say Barkley's the danger man, but if we can just snuff out the run, I don't think we're going to be putting too many points up. Finally get to see Big Ben. We're going to see if he's coming back fit. If they can protect him, then I think he'll be fine. We're going to the playoffs. It's a big year for us. We've got it's a do it this year or not do it at all, because our salary cap is screwed for next year. It's going to look a lot different at the Steelers next year. So this is it. This is it for us. I'm excited. I'm rolling with it. G-men, be scared. And we're going to be walking out of MetLife with a big fat W and a big fat smile on my face. That's for sure.
Coach, put him right.
No, I tell you what, there are a lot of parts about the Giants that I'd like to see do well. I'd like to see Joe Judge do well. I thought it was really interesting. He is determined to do it his way, and the things that he's done have been, quote, college things, if you will, and the players will accept that as long as you win and as long as it's genuine. And I think he's done a good job with his team. We'll see if it holds up over the course of the year, because they're going to lose some football games. They're just not good enough right now, particularly on the offensive and defensive line. They've been good in the past. The Giants have been great on offensive and defensive line, and that's not the case. I like Daniel Jones. I think probably better than Pete does. I just don't think they have enough to beat Pittsburgh. I think Big Ben being away from football a year has helped him. I think it's, sometimes they say, change is as good as a rest. Well, he got both. He got a change of scenery to stand and watch on the sideline, and he got a chance to rest his body. His elbows come off of that surgery well. I think Chase Claypool will be a good complement to Juju Schuster. Connor's a good running back. They got a good offensive line. So I think the Steelers are a good football team. And I've never been a big Mike Tomlin fan, to be honest with you. I think he's more of a sound bite than substance. But I thought last year he really took a step as a coach, because they were horrendous on offense. And I mean horrendous. And they were able to stay in the, because he kept his football team. Defensively, they'd always struggled in the secondary, but when they got Minkah Fitzpatrick last year, the entire makeup of that defense changed. Signing, Cam inside is a big plus. You got TJ Watt outside. They've got good players at every level of that defense. So I think Steelers will walk away with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Mark, what do you think? I'm going to save the best till last.
I'm going to go to Giants. I tell you what, I know. Yeah, I am. I'm romantic.
Are you
I tell you what, my heart's going here in this one. Romantic game. It'd be nice to see Pete be a bit upset when on Twitter later. When he'll have all these kind of wonderful. The Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl and then the first game lose to the Giants. I think it's the thing for me always in these ones. Yeah, they've had no practice games. They've just been practice, live game, and that to me is where sometimes I think we're going to get some shocks in the first week, and I think this is going to be the one that's going to shock. And a big bit of fun for Pete. Have a bit of banter later on as well, won't it? He can drink his fighters, and you think what could have been.
Mark,
for me,
Mark, let me say this: that if the Giants beat the Steelers, it would not be a shock. It would be a full-on electrocution. That's how.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for having my back on that one, man.
It's romance of the game.
Yeah.
Go on, Nick. You've been looking forward to this.
I have. I like Danny Dimes. They're not going to win. I would love the Steelers to get humbled on Monday Night Football. Trust me. I would absolutely wet myself, and you'll switch your phone off because you know if the Giants win, you know what's coming, and it is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
I will say about your so-called vaulted defense that you had 5 turnovers or 6 turnovers against the Niners, and just tell me who won that game last year. Oh dear, it was the Niners. And don't give me it was Duck Hodges and blah. No. We haven't seen how the statue's arm or elbow is going to be. And if New York can get a pass rush, who knows what could happen. They've got to establish the run game early. Connor's got a ball out, as I said to you as well, numerous times. Prove it, Connor. Prove it, Juju Smith-Schuster. But I'm still taking, unfortunately, your Steelers. I wish I could go against them, and I will plenty of time throughout the year, and you know that. But no, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't pick them. As much as I'd love to. Mark, you're lone wolf. Let me hear you.
All I can say is we'll see you in Tampa.
Oh.
Why are you going on holiday then next year? Because you ain't going to the Super Bowl, Mush. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm glad to find out that our guest has stabbed me in the back, so we won't be inviting him on here again. But
you can come on any time you like. Don't worry about him.
Last game, Titans Broncos. I know Nick's big on the Broncos this year. I've got a sneaky feeling that he still might pick the Titans in this game, but he might surprise me. But again, a lot of people are thinking the Broncos are going to be good. But for me, slightly aging defense now. Von Miller's out. Still not sort of sure about Drew Luck. I'm still not Drew Luck. I'm not sort of convinced on him still. They've got a load of weapons around him, but again, with a sort of a weird off-season, whether that's going to sort of gel early on, I don't think it is. Like I said, I think the Raiders still the second spot in that division. Titans looked good last year. I think they know their game plan. They're going to stick with it. They're going to run with Henry. They're going to give Tannehill a chance to sort of throw. I love A.J. Brown. I think he looks good. But for me, the Titans take this, and I think the Titans look good for the AFC South as well. So I'm going Titans on this one. How about you, Jeff?
I think the Titans. I think certainly this week has been a tough week in Denver when you lose a player and a leader like Von Miller, and then I understand that Cortland Sutton got hurt in practice the other day and may have an AC sprain and may not play. So. If those two guys are out, I don't think Denver's got enough weapons to win the game. Jerry Jeudy's best route runner in that rookie class. But again, when you've got one weapon, it's hard to win in the league. And, obviously if Sutton goes down, I think that turns the thing over to the Titans. They're better with Jadeveon Clowney. Everybody talked about Tennessee defense last year was lacking in one thing, and that was pass rushers. Now, lately, you look at Clowney, and he had 3 sacks last year. He's not a Myles Garrett type edge pass rusher. He's great against the run, but when he did have 9.5 sacks, that was when he was playing for Mike Vrabel. So Mike Vrabel knows how to use that incredible skill set that Clowney has. You got a big time running back. I don't know, again, Denver's defense, they're a 3-4 team, and sometimes you can get after those 3-4 teams if you're big and strong inside. So, it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee's revamped offensive line plays, but I think Tennessee will win the game by 5 points probably.
Is there still snow up there in Colorado as well? I heard you sort of saying the other day about a big dump of snow just before they got Von Miller got his injury as well. That's why they went inside. But is there potential for snow up there again?
Well, there's always potential for snow when you're talking about a city that's a mile high up in the air. Now, that's the other thing. It's tough for these teams to be in condition right now because they had such a short preseason. Now you take Tennessee, who plays at sea level, and take them a mile high. And that's one of the advantages. That's one home field advantage that hasn't been lost in the NFL because Denver is, you go up there and that air is thin. And, that is one thing that is in Broncos' favor.
Yeah, for sure. It would be the only way that Nick would ever be able to join the Mile High Club, I can assure you of that. Nick, what's your call on this one, mate?
I have trouble spinning round in an aircraft toilet on my own, let alone having anyone else in there with me, but that's another story. Von Miller is a big loss. And I think as old as he is, and obviously he's getting on in years, he was their best chance of getting pressure and stuff. Titans, will Derrick Henry get hot early? Normally he doesn't start until sort of November, December, so it'll be interesting to see. I like Mike Vrabel as a coach. Tannehill, again, paid him a lot of money. Is he going to live up to that paycheck? Be interesting to see. Again, same as Coach said, mile high. Who knows? They're not going to get to practice in that stadium, I'm guessing, Coach. They literally go on the Saturday maybe and then play on the Sunday. So, again, if they're not practicing in that environment, it's going to make it very difficult. But I still give the Titans the edge, unfortunately. And as you know, Broncos were my sleeper. Loss of Von Miller, I think that kind of really hampers them. As you said, Corey Sutton's out or possibly out. So, yeah, I'll go Titans by 7.
How about you, Mark? Last call of the night?
It's Titans, isn't it? As much as I'd love to say, let's go for a romantic again. Titans. I think they're gonna do it. I think they'll do it more by 7. I think it could be a bigger margin than that.
Yeah.
So short and sweet, but an easy one, that one for me.
Well,
all right, we're going to be finishing off very, very soon, but I just want to quickly go round the horn with your lock pick of the week of who you think is a nailed-on certainty to win their game this week. Pete, who are you taking? Oh, there's a surprise. Be a bit different for a change. Jeff, who's your lock for the week?
The Colts against the Jags.
Mark?
I was going for the Colts against Jags as well. I think, Jags are not great at the moment. So for me, it's nailed on.
Grandad?
I'm going to go for the Ravens against the Browns. I just think they're going to overpower them. And it'll be interesting to see if the Browns are for real. Sorry, Ivan. But I want to see Lamar Jackson. And is he Lamar Jackson of last year, or is it going to be a new Lamar Jackson? It will be interesting to see. Guys, everyone that joined in today, all of our special guests, sorry, Croc, that your internet failed, but it was great having you on. Jason, as ever, top man. We're going to see you again next week. Jeff, are you down for a rundown next week?
Sure, always with you guys.
We'll shrink it down, Jeff. I promise.
And hopefully I'll see you guys midweek on Coffee with the Coach, and we can chop it up again.
For sure.
Always, Jeff. Always.
Wednesday night, Coffee with Coach. Be there. It's good fun.
All right, guys. I
Mark,
appreciate it.
Really enjoyed your company.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Always.
As ever,
Always.
you are the best. And
you
there's
guys.
only one thing we can finish on. This is the Shank Club NFL, and we are going to play out with this.
Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Here comes the blue coat.
Oh, they got him.
Here
They're
comes
coming
the
from
blue
the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
We're out of here.
That was the most exciting
See you guys.